Disclaimer: the following Boundless PodTrap episode contains strong opinions that some listeners may and will find offensive. If you cannot accept or respect others with a differing opinion from yours, then fuck off.
Rolling sound.
I like turtles.
Shush! Oh, righty. Let me see your war face.
Now, y'all ain't planning on fucking these chickens, are you?
Picture it. Sicily, 1920.
Aren't we fucking funny?
Streaming from the Midwest, right in the middle of the U.S. From Omaha, Nebraska, you're listening to the Boundless PodTrap, your entertainment podcast where we touch on all topics, from the crazy and absurd to the sacred and profane, and even the useless and unnecessary. The Boundless PodTrap knows no bounds. And now, here are your hosts.
So I'm going to ask you guys a question here. Do you think it's about time we got a new intro for our podcast? This is episode 39.
39.
I'm fine with it.
39, and I'm feeling fine.
40's our next one, and I feel like we need to change it up.
Why?
I feel like we need to add audio clips.
I think we do need to add more
for some of the
personalization.
The best of. So just things that Lonnie and I say.
So
just audio clips from him and I.
I don't get it.
Well, we can put your sound effect of your phone going, wah, 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 blah, 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 blah.
There's been none of that in like years.
Anyways, this is episodes 39. Believe it or not, fellas. 39 episodes. I don't feel that's just, I know we say this a lot, but I don't feel like we've done 39 episodes.
I know. And as frequently as we record episodes, now doing one a month, 39 episodes has been like almost 3 years at this point.
It feels like it. And
that's about 60 episodes that we've done.
Yeah.
It's so weird because if you go on Spotify, our channel, whatever on there, and you can scroll.
I know. I was saying the same thing when we were at like 17 episodes. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. No, I was trying to find a certain one and I was scrolling.
Okay.
So I hiccuped right when I said
Aaron Neville? What are you doing?
The hook, the touch, the fabric.
So I got you. Hold on. Let me change your settings. Okay.
So sad news. I know this has been a while back, but obviously we record these like once a month. But Gilbert Gottfried died.
Yeah,
True.
That was hard. That was surprising.
It was, but apparently he has been sick with something. I don't know that they've released.
There's like a muscular dystrophy, like some sort of.
At the time of,
but he's had it for a long time.
At the time of us recording this, they haven't released a cause of death. I don't think.
No, I don't think so either. But he was only 67.
Yeah, it's just young.
To me, I thought he was not much older than that, but I thought he was well in his 70s.
Yeah, and when my father passed away, he was 66, and I thought that was way too young. Like, and then with him being 67, it's like, wow. Like, I guess it's common.
Well, my dad passed away at the age of 50, which
that's way too young.
It is, but people would always say that. But when I was 20 or 21 when he passed away, I think I was 20, and I was 20. And to me, like 50 years old is like old. I mean, it seems it, yeah. But it's like
now that
when you're in
when I'm like 37, though, it's like it's not quite old enough.
I'm 12 years away from the age my dad was when he passed away. But
it's kind of very on point. It's very symbolic to something else. Everybody dies. Everyone dies, which is a song lyric by Typo Negative, who Peter Steele died today, which recording this is April 14th.
Really?
Yeah. And this episode is going to be our darkest hour.
It is. And that's kind of why I start off with that. But it also got me to thinking, too, that I just feel like anymore, every week, there's a handful of celebrities that are dying. And I don't know if it's because social media is just so overpowering at this point that it's just common to your phone gives you an alert or your computer gives you an alert about somebody dying. But at the same time, I thought several years ago, social media was still as strong as it is today.
Right.
But I don't remember.
The culture of it changes constantly. Like these days, the way that information is spread is so sensationalized. So it's like they try to hook you with the feelers. So it's like, oh my God, this person died. So it's like you're already gauged to that. So, oh shit, that I feel it now.
Well, I think it's twofold as well. I think back in the day, social media, well, not back in the day, but a couple of years ago, 3 to 4 years ago even, it sounds crazy, but I think we were a slight bit more respectful for people's privacy.
Yeah,
we would be like, oh, this person died. Okay, we'll let the family grieve and that, and then we'll be part of it. Now we've kind of lost that as humanity, and we're like, who died? Oh, I got to share it. Like, I get it that your favorite celebrity died. You're not as important as their wife, husband, kids, family. So you're not going to be the one who's going to be holding the flowers at their funeral. So,
well, and I'm kind of guilty of that. I was going to say too, I think that these media outlets, it's common to hear somebody hours after they pass away hitting the news because all these news media outlets want to be the first to break the news.
That's how everything is.
And they're just as guilty as people.
And I am, because I heard, I was at work working on the computer and the thing popped up in the corner saying Gilbert Gottfried. And I put a post out about it because it was just like that one. It was shocking to me.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was just like, part of me is just like, oh, I'm going to put this up first. So, maybe I'll be the person that.
Well, and even before you sent that message to us, I'd read it on Reddit.
Right.
Like it was.
And we had plans with Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah. So. And I don't want to say it's a sucky thing because it sounds selfish, but yeah, I had the idea and was planning on reaching out to Gilbert Gottfried to do the voiceover for the Unemployed W-2 trailer.
Then he had to go do himself a dead.
Because it's such an iconic voice. And for those that don't know who he is, I mean, I guarantee you the one thing you will know of when I say this, that was his voice, was he was the voice of the Aflac duck. He
was the first one. Then he made a tweet about something and it wasn't even that, I didn't think it was that bad, but then again, the way that I critically analyze certain things is like, it's just words.
Well, I mean, there's a
comedians being comedians. That's it.
There's a comedian friend of ours. Well, at least I'm friends with him on Facebook. Local guy named Ben Webb. And he did a video to Gilbert yesterday, I believe it was, doing his impression of him, and he sounds pretty damn good. He sounds just like him. So, I mean, I guess that's another option for our voiceover for the trailer. But yeah, it's crazy. And that picture that Gilbert Gottfried posted not too long ago of him, Louis Anderson, and Bob Saget.
Rolling with Saget.
What? Yeah, but I don't know. It is, to me, like every week there's a few celebrity deaths, and it's crazy. I mean, some are young, just like the drummer for Foo Fighters, Taylor Hawkins. Is that his name?
Hawkins, yeah. But he was a heavy drinker.
Yeah,
Speaking of which, you guys got some really nice looking livers.
Oh, we do.
Yeah, I think this room has some nice livers.
Thank you.
It's definitely
the best livers in podcasting, I would say.
Yeah, and that needs to be a tagline for us now. That should be. But we got to change the intro. We need to have another voiceover person say the best livers.
The best livers in podcasting.
Thank you, Scott.
Yes.
We're going to need you to come back again.
We need to, when it gets closer to Halloween, I want to have him as a guest on here. It's going to have to be pre Halloween, like July, because that's when we start setting up the haunted house, and
well, I mean, we can film it in August and it'll come out in October. That's how
that's
how these come out.
I'd love to have you guys.
I'd love to have you too.
Come out one night, you two, and maybe do a on location podcast.
That'd be fun, yeah.
At the Shadows Edge Haunted House, theshadowsedge.com. Anyways,
2 blocks north of the
Adam and Eve.
Of I-80 speed. I-80 Speedway.
You don't even know your shit. Neither does anybody else here, I guess. Yeah?
Well, if you ever drove on I-80, it is I-80 Speedway nowadays.
So we're going to be seeing a lot more of each other in the next few weeks, it looks like.
Yeah.
We've only been Jeremy and I see each other throughout the month. Lonnie and I see each other at least once a month because of the recordings and all. But
except for when you stare at his pictures online and cry.
It's my screen cap desktop background.
Yeah, he's got my abs perfectly.
Right.
You can't see my abs in that picture.
Yeah, I can feel them.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
But no, we got a lot going on this
we're going to be starting filming our first shot for Luggage and Layover. We're going to be starting a script reading in the next few weeks as well for our feature length.
Yeah.
It's like spending so much time together, our cycles are going to start syncing up here.
No, it's going to be great.
So the thing about Luggage and Layover is it's Justin, your first writing and director credit for shorty films.
For shorty films, yes.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting. I mean, it's definitely going to show a different side of what can be produced with shorty films. And I mean that in a good way.
Yeah,
when I say interesting, I'm not saying it bad.
It's going to be the best thing the shorty films has.
And one thing you did forget to mention too is Lonnie's movie, The Last Goodbye, that he wrote and I directed back in November of 2020.
2020, yeah.
We are making plans on getting that completed
You're going to
here.
see February of last year.
So we released one more.
It's not confidential. It's got potential. Continue.
Okay. So we released Shorty Film's first movie, One More Body, on July 1st of last year. So the goal is to release The Last Goodbye before July 1st. So we can have 2 movies out within the same year, possibly 3, because Under the Willow Tree, we did our Omaha Film Festival here. It's making its rounds in the California Film Festival circuit out there.
Yeah, it's doing great too. We got to give a shout out to Kate Pryor for winning Best Actress in California.
She won Best Actress in California Film Festival for Under the Willow Tree. And then, it's more than likely going to be submitted and hopefully accepted to Flatwater Film Festival, which will take place in October. But like everything, the whole purpose of shorty films is our short films are things we want to get out there for people to see. And so we want to release Under the Willow Tree as soon as possible. Like Justin was saying too, we've got our scheduled for, it'll probably be after this podcast is released, but our first full cast table read through for Unemployed W2 is taking place soon. And that's been fun and hectic at the same time, trying to get these final locations and
coordinating is. It sounds so easy. Coordinating looks good on paper.
Right.
It does. You can be as organized as you want, but when you have to wait on other businesses and places to get back to you, you're not a priority to them.
Right.
And I don't mean that as like dickheads. I mean that like as they have things going on. And a lot of times when it's something like this, like obviously we're not a big company. If we were Warner Brothers or something like that, they'd be getting back to us right away. But it's just, it's stressful. And it's like, Justin, you have like the smallest cast possible and smallest story and locations. And I mean, it's just not, especially locations for you has just been the biggest pain.
Yeah. It's the getting back. And then like, I'm the type of person who, we're very much alike in the sense that we want to be as clear and concise as possible. It's like, I want to give you all the information I need, send it up and see if you can answer this point, this point, this point. And when I'm getting the answers back, like, you could do this. I'm like, that's not answering any of my questions. Thank you. Yeah.
So we do got a lot of stuff coming up here. And I mean, I'm to that point here. I do have July set for when we first start filming.
I can't do July. That's my birthday month.
God damn it. Yeah, that's the thing. You joke about that, but something like that's going to come up. But a lot of things coming up with that.
I've decided to put my entire family on hold until we can get this through. So, yeah.
Oh,
I just can't wait to be pissed on. Like, I'm excited.
Yeah, and I got a female, too.
Spoilers.
That's going to be getting pissed on.
Do I get a piss on her, or is she pissed?
You guys aren't even in the same scene.
Damn.
It's separate.
Damn.
Anyways. So yeah, this episode is going to be a little bit of a darker episode, a more depressing episode.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Can I lead us in with something fun before we get into all the dark? Something I kind of want to pat myself on the back.
Oh, yeah.
So I went to a trade show yesterday. And for those of you kids who don't know what a cassette tape or a trade show is, a trade show is like a flea market, but for particular things.
Drugs.
It could be drugs, but
weapons.
So I went to a horror collectible trade show yesterday in Kansas City. For those of you who don't know where Kansas City is, it is pretty much dead center in the United States. But from where I live, it's about 2 hours away. So me and my buddy jumped in a car and we went down there. And there was so much cool shit that I could have spent tens of thousands of dollars on. Luckily, I didn't. But the two things that I got that I'm so excited about, since 1996, I've been collecting G-Men, serial killers, and murderers trading cards, the 1992 set. And I promised I would never buy a single one of them online. I would only get them from people I'm seeing, from trading or buying. And I was able to fill up my set yesterday. So I have the whole entire set. I couldn't be prouder than I am. But the thing I am most excited about, and I took one of my prized possessions, I have two of them, Nightmare on Elm Street, Suffer the Children, the very first novel written about Nightmare on Elm Street, never been opened, still in the original packaging. I took it to trade, see what I could get out of it.
And you lost it.
No, I did not lose it. I was very well kept care of. But I was there looking around, and I went up to this guy who collected serial killer and killer memorabilia. And I was looking at stuff, and he had one particular piece of memorabilia that I was very excited to see. We discussed it for quite a while, and he's like, I just can't sell the thing. It's been here forever. And I showed him my book, and I said, let's make a deal. He's like, oh, this is a good piece. So
you guys went to the bathroom?
Yeah, no, we just did it right there. And then he wanted $1,000 for the item. I was thinking $750 or $800 for my book. We came to the consensus. We traded. A little bit of money switched hands. He left with a book. I left with a doll.
Yeah, which is sitting by me.
Which is sitting right in the middle of the studio.
Very uncomfortable.
Staring.
I feel like it's haunted.
It is. It could be haunted, but
it's like a little.
I doubt it's haunted.
Geisha with a little kimono. Its eyes are like just
like it's been crying and its makeup's running.
Crying geisha.
But there's.
Does it have a name?
No, I don't know. It wasn't in, but the specifics of this doll are amazing, and I'm not going to mention on air who was the possessor of this doll, but I'll give facts. So if you want to put two and two together.
And by possessor, you mean who had it or who was in it?
No, who owned it.
A celebrity?
So, yes, almost. So this doll was possessed by a mass murderer, killed 15 people. And when it was taken as evidence by the police, along with a whole bunch of other stuff, once it was deemed as the case was closed, the family was told to come get it. Family didn't want it, so it went back with all the other possessions to the school. The school took their possessions out of it, threw the rest of it away. The sheriff from Johnson County in Colorado seen it, told the janitor. The janitor picked it up, brought it to the brother. I got it from the brother.
Why was this confiscated? Because
they took everything out of the locker.
Oh, it was in the...
It was in his locker,
right,
yeah.
mind.
So
you bought it from the brother.
I bought it from the brother of the janitor who took it out of the trash can.
I thought you were going to say the brother of the killer.
No.
So
it was the sheriff told the janitor, they're done with it. He cleaned it out, threw it all away. The janitor told the brother, who was a collector, about it was going in the trash. Brother came and got it.
A collector or a hoarder?
Either or.
So, is this factual?
Factual, 100% factual. There's pictures.
Does it come with a certificate?
Well, I don't really think you can certificate that stuff, but there was pictures.
You could certificate anything if you're good enough.
But
so
I think with two and two together, you can figure that out.
For the listeners, what year was this?
1999.
Okay.
This was caught in the trenches of the garbage.
Yeah. So
it was uncomfortable to look at this before.
Yeah.
But now knowing where this came from,
right?
It's very uncomfortable, which is why I kind of kicked it a little bit closer to you. But yeah,
it's just a doll.
It makes you wonder, like, why? Like, why would it have been there in the first place?
I don't know.
That just doesn't seem like
weird kid. Just something he probably had.
Is it looking at you?
That's why That's why when he said if it's haunted, probably not, because
it's just going straight into Moxley's crib.
It's definitely going into the horror room. But
so yeah, I mean, obviously this doll was not made up like this. There's no way they made this doll.
No, this
like
is
that.
all
so
him.
He did all this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is it Kiss makeup? What is it?
I don't know. I haven't touched it in case it was something that would rub off. I didn't want to mess with it, and I didn't want to rub it off.
The eyes are just so damn realistic on this thing.
Yeah. They look into your soul.
They really do. It makes you wonder if there's something inside of it that...
Yeah, like plastic.
Like
horsehair.
He hid something in it that...
Oh, like actual physical something in it?
Yeah.
Like his DNA.
Well...
Ugh.
Ugh.
Boys.
Well, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, and to know that it is for sure, and they weren't blowing smoke up your ass.
Yeah, and he had it. That guy had it out of the trash can. They were done with evidence by 2000. The school took all the school property, the books, the other things the school lends out, and then they just threw everything else away.
Wow. So you said that there was pictures. What do you mean pictures?
So when they were taking it out of the trash can. So when they were taking pictures of the school, taking it out of the school trash can into the actual dumpster.
Just like forensic style.
Yeah.
Well, that definitely is creepy. That's a one-of-a-kind thing.
Yeah.
No duplications. That's crazy.
Yeah. The guy said he's been trying to sell it since early 2000s. No one's wanted it. And I just happened to see it, and I was like, I took an affinity for it. I'm like, I want serial killer stuff. And I guess this is close to it. So
basically.
He was willing to trade me straight across for the book. So
are you advocating serial killer stuff so you can have a larger
it's appropriate for this episode, but
kill room and not necessarily kill room, but yeah.
I just think it's one of those cool. It's like getting Jeffrey Dahmer's spoon. Like
his skull spoon that he's ew.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I think you should collect more stuff like that.
I would like to. It's so expensive, though.
I mean, I definitely, I wouldn't drop money on something like that just because, I mean, you said the pictures were there, but I'm very
very leery of stuff like that. Yeah, of course.
You could easily fake some stuff. But
100%. Yeah.
I don't think you could really fake crime scene type photos. And,
right. Yeah.
And whatnot. But well, that's interesting. And
dude,
I mean,
if we put this online, is it going to be easy to search?
Like search?
Like if a picture of this, are people going to know?
I don't know if they put crime scene photos up, but
I mean, if you could do like a back image search or something like that of this particular doll, it might come up with something.
I don't know if they show pictures of lockers or whatnot, but
you guys go about it.
Jeremy's doing a little wrong thing. Interesting. What else do you have in your inventory?
Really, that's one of my first major pieces. Like, I've got some newspaper printings.
Gotcha. Nothing of the perpetrators' items, just more so things that are about the...
Oh, there's nothing specific about that particular thing. It was just, hey, cool.
Right. But I mean, to add this to the collection that you say...
I have a collection, so I have newspapers from Ed Gein, and I have articles about...
the Warrens and all that, or...
Not so much about the Warrens, because they didn't really print much in the newspaper about them. But I've got news articles about Ed Gein, and I have a news article about Albert Fish and stuff like that. So nothing huge like this, but just little things. So
every now and then when I'm walking through apartments at my job, some people will leave things out in the hallway. I was like, take for free. And I always keep markers on me. So I'll be like, I'll write haunted above it. It's like, haunted, take for free.
Haunted free shit, take it.
Yeah, I can't find anything on it, but...
Yeah, we'll take a picture of this and throw this on.
Yeah.
That way it's not like 20 minutes of talking about a doll that nobody can see.
Yeah. It's quite... It kind of...
I think it's sexy.
It looks... Okay. Forget what I was about to just say after that. And I'll say it off there. But anyways, so... Lonnie, we're going to start with your topic tonight.
Okay.
Believe it or not, that was not his topic.
That was not my topic. That was just something to lighten the mood a little bit.
But we're going to, Lonnie's going to talk with his. Justin has a topic that's going to lead into eulogies.
Give or take. Eulogies, wakes, speeches. Yeah.
And then the main topic, my topic today, is going to be about the 2017 Las Vegas shooting. So we got a lot to discuss today, and we're going to start with Lonnie.
Strap in, kids. So cell phones have become pretty much a part of everybody's life.
Right.
No.
And just the advancement of technology. And
have you ever looked at your cell phone and like think that it wants to fuck you?
I hope so. Okay. At least something does.
All right. Not just me.
But so I compiled some information from 2000, which doesn't seem that long ago, but was actually 22 years ago. And now,
it was.
And just seeing what the impact of technology, specifically cell phones, has done to us as people. So compiled some facts, and a lot of them were kind of shocking. And I was kind of telling Jeremy this a little bit, that the topic kind of took over itself. So some facts to share. Cyberbullying, which, I mean, there was the internet, and it was a pretty big thing, and chat rooms were huge, and IMing was huge, and cell phones were starting to come out, and texting was big. Back in 2000, 3% of people said they would cyberbully people if they could get away with it, and 2% of people actually did.
I feel like those numbers are usually misconstrued because, I mean, like, there are a certain amount of people who are being honest in survey takings.
Right.
So it's probably even higher than that.
Right. So in 2022, 70% of people said they would cyberbully if they could get away with it.
It's like there's a lot of narcissists in this world and they're not honest. So
and 40% of people do. That was 80% until COVID, and that actually went down to 70%.
Now it's at 100%.
Well, it's and that was one of the numbers that surprised me, that you would figure with isolation would make people more of assholes.
I was just going to ask if
but it actually lowered it because they're just happy to see and communicate with people, I assume.
I guess, because I was just going to ask you if I was understanding that correctly, because I would have thought it would have went up as well.
Right, yeah.
I mean, that's all I did during COVID was just bully all kind of people.
Yeah, I got really good at it. The suicide rate in 2000 was 404,000 people a year. So 404,000 people a year committed suicide in the year 2000. And in the year 2022, 644,000 people a year took their own life.
Say that again, 644,000?
1,000 people a year killed themselves in the United States.
How is that even possible?
Right?
We're always making babies.
Wow.
Yeah. Astronomical numbers. And in the last 20 years, it has went up by 200,000 people.
I mean, we can't necessarily attribute that all to bullying.
No, not at all. But
people kill themselves for various reasons. Some of it is terminal situations where they just want to have control over it.
Well, yeah, exactly. Here's where I thought the trend would continue, but here's where the topic kind of flip-flopped and got really interesting to me. Teen pregnancies in 2000, 83 per every 1,000 people.
What's the general number before that?
What do you have? And that's in 2000.
Right, in 2000.
83 kids for every 1,000 kids was a teen pregnancy.
That was half of my graduating class.
Right. Yeah. In 2022, 17 for every 1,000 kids.
Jeez, wow. Wait, 2002?
Or 2022, sorry. Okay. 17 for every 1,000.
There's a push with sexuality as far as living your best life and having your, whole summer or whatever, but there's also a counter push to other things as far as learning the education.
Right. Well, but think of the hookup culture we're in.
Oh, yeah. And Omaha's worse. Omaha was, I don't know what it is currently, but it was the highest STD rate in the nation.
Well, right. Yeah. And with it so easy to communicate with all the dating apps, with all the anonymity behind it all, you'd figure that number would be huge. The divorce rate in 2000, 19 per 1,000 people. 19 really? People. If you asked 1,000 people, 19 of them were divorced in 2000. 2022, yes, that same.
This is the divorce that happened in the year, or the people who were divorced despite the year?
In the year of 2000, if you would ask 1,000 people, 19 of them would say they were divorced.
Right.
In the year 2022, if you asked 1,000 people, 2.5 of them would say they were divorced.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that doesn't seem right to me. Because
it doesn't.
I feel like so many people I know are getting divorced.
Right.
And that's...
Well, it's people so big city style, like there's other people who are in the outer skirts. He's talking about the nation.
Yeah, I'm talking about all of the United States.
Big cities are probably going to have bigger divorce rates.
And I don't know if it's the fact that there's more help at hand, or if there's more communication able to be had, or what, but the number has plummeted.
Here's my thing. The 2000, these numbers are per the whole year, correct?
Yeah.
So how are we able to do
2022 is what I'm saying. It was from start of 2021 to the end of 2021.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha. I was gonna say,
so it actually
maybe
should
that's
be
why they're low, because it's only 4 months into the year.
Right.
We got time.
We got plenty of time.
Okay,
We're married. That means one of us has to get divorced, right?
That's a coin flip. The single mother rate in 2000 was 32.8%.
if it's lower than I've called bullshit 100% on that.
The 2022 rate 4.5%.
That's bullshit.
That's a topic I think
complete bullshit.
Needs a lot of microscope over.
Every single girl on a dating app has a kid.
On a dating app?
Yeah, but that's still their single mother.
Not true.
What do you mean not true?
I mean, not every single chick on a dating app. Every single chick that you might be attracted to may have, because you go for the gilfs, man.
Even if I'm not interested, I read their profile and it's just like every single one has a kid or two.
So I'm a full package.
Unless, yeah.
You must be at least.
It's like, I'm not dating your kid.
Make 7 figures.
My kids will always be top priority.
My kids
no shit. I would never expect it. I would never expect you to be like, yeah, the kids that you gave birth to, fuck them. They're second.
But if you have kids and your kids are top priority, nope.
My kids come first and I come second.
Never mind. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. Okay, so back to your numbers. I still think that's bullshit. I don't believe that at all.
And these are from the U.S. Census. Marriage rate, 2,000 per 1,000 people, 8.1 people. I don't know how they did the 0.1, but apparently it's rounded.
For 1,000 people.
For 1,000 people.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of marriages.
8.1 people out of 1,000 married. 2022, 5.1 people.
That's crazy because
the
marriage
rate
much
has went down.
Suburban households is pretty much the married class, and that kind of fills out. I mean, then again, there's apartment and dorm life and all that. So that kind of,
I can kind of see that one.
Yeah. Here's the one that shocked me the most. In 2000, the unemployment rate was 3.9%. 2022. Keep in mind, we're still in the dregs of a pandemic.
It's closer to 20%.
We're in a culture of people who don't really want to work.
OnlyFans is not employment, is it?
Nope.
Just throw out numbers you think that the unemployment rate is in 2021.
I would say 22%.
22%?
It can't be over 40.
I would say around like 18%.
18. So in 2000, it was 3.9. In 2022, it is fucking 3.9%.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly the same.
Huh. It depends on people's qualification of jobs, though.
A lot of people are taking shitty jobs because shitty jobs are starting to pay as equal as good jobs.
Well, this is true. I mean, being in a Grubhub, Uber Eats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they consider that a job, but you get like none of the benefits.
Well, yeah.
Amazon.
But you get paid.
Yeah.
But sometimes better than like an actual job.
Yeah, being an entrepreneur society, it's easy to make money if you're willing to hustle for it.
I was working Postmates for a while when I was trying to get out of debt here, and man, I was getting nothing. And then I was like, I had to like text the customer. I'm like, hey, like this place has like a line that's going down the block. Do you still want this place? And they're like, yeah, it's cool. And I had to wait for like 2 hours, and they didn't even tip me. I'm like, I could have made like 4 other trips in that time.
Should have.
Postmates didn't pay.
I would do, because a lot of people say Uber Eats, Grubhub, they pay very well, but it's a lot of wear and tear in your car.
It is. And if it pays if you're doing multiples. Like if I was just, because what I was doing was only like 2 to 3 deliveries away from work to home. And I was kind of coming out of pocket for most of it.
Yeah, the best way to do that, and it doesn't really, it might work in our area because we have the international airport. But that really is just it being close to a metro airport like JFK or Chicago or O'Hare, where you're constantly running people and doing like Uber. Like that's the best way, is running from airport, hotel, and just doing 50 to 60 rides a day.
I would rather just work for a hotel, use their shuttle, and get paid to do it instead of myself.
Work for Disneyland.
But yeah, no, definitely. That's crazy, because I think we're in a very lazy society. Like COVID has made people so fucking lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's exposed people's laziness.
True.
Well, boys, that last bit of information turned the whole topic on its head. So what I gleaned from that information is I don't know if parents are more lazy, because it seems like from that information, the really negative part, the suicide rate and the cyberbullying, is more directed towards kids, teens and kids. So the adults, the divorce rate, the single mom rate, the marriage rate, I guess the teen pregnancy rate is up with the kids as well, but the unemployment rate all seems beneficial for the older generation, your early to late 20s and up. Is that due to the benefits that our age gets from the phone? Or is that the negative that the younger generation gets from the phone? Or is it nothing from the technology itself? Is it just outside factors? Is it...
Technology is a huge factor. I don't think you can't exist in today's climate without technology.
Yeah.
I mean, technology itself is supposed to be a convenience. For the people who know how to use it, it's supposed to, be a convenience to maximize some time for other things, but we don't use it like that.
No, absolutely not.
Information is only worthy. It has value when it's applied, and most people don't apply the information. They just glean it and it's entertainment at that point.
Right. Well, and it's the fact that we've become such a culture of technology gives us more opportunity for entertainment, or to give us more opportunity for the opportunity for other
mediums,
things to do.
Yeah.
And we choose to use technology.
Yeah. With the however many streaming platforms these days, I mean, it's
I
always...
think I've got 7.
Yeah, it's kind of designed to keep you plugged in, at least for the streaming platforms. With so much competition with just that, so many movies are going under our noses. For people who work in the film industry,
right?
It's like, I don't even know what's coming out.
Right, I barely remembered Forgotten. I had to watch it
That's
again.
a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. No, but I mean, not just that, but it seems like everybody on post or I guess on my Facebook feed, the people that I keep company with, or if you want to call it company, most of their stuff is talking about something media, political, something that is newsworthy, or, we've been talking about a slap for a month.
That's true.
Yeah. And nobody watches the Oscars or the award show or whatever it was. I don't even know what it was.
I don't even know what show it was. That's how little I give a shit.
And that's all I know from it was just something as minute as that. And then it just blew up the whole thing. It's
The best thing that came out of that was the meme of Andrew Garfield giving 0 fucks about the whole situation, just texting under the table.
For a second, let me touch on that. I think the worst thing about this whole thing with that is I see so many people taking really crazy stances. It's not the event itself. It's the reactions that are around the event. I really do not give a shit about Will Smith and Jada Pinkett's relationship. She's put him as second best pretty much their entire relationship.
Absolutely.
She's with this too.
Yeah. And And it's the day or two before she said, I don't care if anybody has anything to say about my hair. And she's had short hair randomly throughout
the majority of her career.
And Will Smith laughed about it, and then he went up and then slapped him, and I don't know if it was work or anything. Some people say it is. Some people say, I really don't care. It's just
can't be. Why would Will Smith do something like that to fuck his career over?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Look, the thing is Will Smith, as I said in many posts before, is he's a really good wordsmith when he wants to be, but she's a very manipulative person, and she has not treated him well. She won't go out for bat for him. I have had some of the people we know in here who've taken outrageous. He's like, family first, or I would have done the same thing. It's like, wow, you are weak. That is not a man. He is a broken man. He is obviously hurting. It's he wants to try to please her, but he can't. He's gone out so many times out of his way to try to throw something out, a party for her or something like that. And she's like, It's Tupac will always be above him. She's even
are you comparing black men now?
Well, Tupac was her boyfriend,
Oh, was he?
Yeah. And then she's even gotten Willow writing posts Tupac, I know you're alive. Can you please come back and, cause make my mommy happy and all this. And it's wow. It's you're having your daughter pretty much disregard her dad. And
she basically said too the other day that I didn't tell Willow to smack him.
Yeah. And she just threw him under the rug. And it's wow. There's videos of her recording him, and he's I don't want to be recorded. My social media is my bread and butter, and she's making him look like a fool.
Well, his career is fine.
She's manipulative. I never really cared for her. Her music kind of.
The best thing she ever did was Demon Knight.
Yeah, that was good. Okay, I get fucking with Phantom. What's his name?
Billy Zane.
Billy Zane. Yeah.
Go dog, po dog, them there motherfuckers.
But yeah, it's the people's reaction to that. It's like, that is not what a man is. A man who is weakened by words so brashly like that, like, you're weak, man. Like, you're letting words destroy you. You're offering your mind, your pride. That's what pride was. It's like, your pride is your weakness. If you feel like you need to defend yourself over simple words, and it wasn't even a bad joke. People were saying like it was very distasteful. It's like, no, G.I. Jane is a powerful woman. Like, she was able to rise above everything. And then some other chick made an even harsher joke about it, and they clapped for her.
Well, the sad thing about this whole thing is that this is just showing now that
that
comedians are going to get beat up on stage. And it happened last week. T.I.
Oh, yeah. I saw that one.
Chick was in a club where he was at, and she made a joke about him, and then he got up.
He hosted that, too.
Yeah.
It's like he put that together, and then you want to throw, like, as a comedian, you don't ruin other people's acts.
No.
Even if it's about you. It's like freedom of speech,
she
man.
stood up for herself, and I commend her very much for that, because this is the sad thing about it, and it's kind of things I've talked about in the past, like with unemployed W-2. There's things that I thought about doing, and it's just like, it's all in good taste and humor. But I didn't write it in the script because it's just like, I know the backlash of it. And obviously I'm not on the level of Chris Rock and Will Smith, but locally.
You're like one step under there, so.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like, I'm afraid to do things, even with this podcast, especially when we first started. I mean,
you were really hesitant.
You remember our first episode, we did a Marry, Fuck, Kill.
Right.
And I didn't want it on there. I didn't want my part on there because after we did, I was just like, this could be taken as demeaning to women and stuff like that.
Anything will be.
Now we just demean them all the time. Now we give up caring.
But no, it's crazy. I'm glad actions are being taken against Will Smith. Do I think some of the things are going a little too crazy? Yeah. But it's just like, the guy did it himself, and I think he almost needs to be a lesson to other people. Like, just because if you got money and you're where you're at, if any one of us would have done that.
There's friends that we are acquainted with who are like, you don't know the struggle of a black man. It's like, he is not the typical black man.
He doesn't know the struggle
from money,
of a black
man. Like he can buy, in Scientology, all that will help him out. Although like he skirted on the edges of Scientology, but he still has like the education that they teach to try to get a different color
robe. Yeah. But the only struggle he's ever known was when he played Fresh Prince.
I mean, this is up and coming. He was still making, that earlier music and all that. Like, that was his struggle. And the struggle of then is not the struggle of today.
Well, he's been like, there's a lot of people that won't work with him.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't want to blame him for it. It's like, yes, it was a very bad taste, though he knows how to stage slap, and it didn't look like it hurt. Like, it was probably a shock for Chris Rock.
Well, yeah, there's a video of Chris Rock
he's just
afterwards
like looking,
where he just looked. I wanted to give him.
Going on?
I want to give him a hug. I felt so bad for him.
His brother's really standing up for him and like throwing it on the road and all
he
that.
He wants to challenge Will Smith to a celebrity boxing
It's not
match.
even worth it. It's like that. That's what I'm talking about. We're talking about technology and how things are just consuming other people's minds mindlessly. And this is one of those things. Usually when something like this is going on, there's an underlying thing. Was it staged? Who knows? I'm not one to say. And our main topic, is there something more to it? Who knows? We weren't there. But it's like shit like this, they're trying to do bigger things. Whether it be something political or so, like they're trying to, we can go deeper into that with yours, but sorry for the rant. Go ahead and revert back.
Well, I mean, that was pretty much it. We were wrapping it up from there and on mine. Yeah, just a glimpse into the future. If this is where things are now, they can really fix a lot of things with technology, but what are we giving up in regards to the things we're fixing?
It definitely massages your laziness. It definitely makes things worse to an extent. But it's the tools that will definitely help us, though.
Absolutely.
But people refuse to learn how to do new apps, and
it's just one of those
confusing your app.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where it's a little throttle and a little brake. We just have to figure out.
Sometimes I feel like I'm speaking foreign to certain people, like my age group, not just you guys, because it's like,
who else do you know?
Yeah.
I'm talking to people who are like, I'm like, oh, what note-taking app do you use? And people are like, notes. Like, you write things down? I'm like, yes. I'm always writing things down. Like, I feel like learning is a never-ending thing. Like, you should always, because it's going to help evolve who you are. You can gauge where you are and excel from there.
I bet I know how these conversations go. You're like, this is the best notepad we have. It does this, and then you can do this, and it reacts to this program and this, and then they say, can I just have my mail, please?
Well, Justin, I feel like you and I are very similar when it comes to organization and stuff like that. But I think you like the technology side of things too. Whereas me, like, I understand that technology is vital in this day and age. But to me, I like old school. If we didn't
old school,
have to have,
you're sitting in front of a
pen and paper,
27-inch wrap monitor with a 24-inch right there.
I bet
he's sitting there with a laptop with double screens. I have a fucking notebook in front of me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I look behind me, the walls, like, there's an app for this, for the movie making, but I like to visually the old see it. School thing. Like, pen, you don't have the, what's the word I'm looking for?
The neuroconnectivity.
The renaissance of it all.
But when you write pen to paper, it's more intimate.
Yeah. And it connects something. Your mind spends more time on the words, so they're ingrained deeper. Yeah. When you're just typing on a keyboard, like, there's not really much retention. It's just like it's there, and that's one thing that I like about technology, because it's a quick release. Oh yeah.
Oh baby.
No, it's a quick release, and like my mind isn't necessarily made for keeping ideas. It's made for creating ideas. So it's like I use my technology as a second brain. So if I can get it out fast, I can continue. And my problem is, and I know my problem, I think one of the best things you can do for yourself is learn how you work. You work simple. Like, you can get things down and you're satisfied with it. You're like, it's all right here. I am not satisfied with it because I'm a tinkerer. I'm like, I can do this better. I can do this better. And then I get caught in that cycle, if you want to call it like FOMO, a fear of missing out. Like, there's more things I can do. There's more. So I waste more time trying to figure out how to do things more efficient, whereas you're already creating work. And so I have to fast pace myself, I guess.
You know, one of the things and we'll get onto your topic here very shortly, but you know, writing for me, my brain is rapidly going. My mind is constantly coming up with ideas. Even when I'm writing ideas down, I'm creating ideas. And when I type faster than my thoughts go.
Right.
Whereas where I write, yeah, you're welcome.
That's how my brain.
But when I write, I'm writing at that perfect pace to where I'm keeping up with my thoughts. So that's to me why I like writing. I always think, like, if I die anytime soon, the people will be so, for years, I will still be around because I have so many fucking notebooks at home, and I don't complete a full notebook. When I have a new idea, I go buy another notebook.
Yeah, I noticed that about you too. And like, you'll buy a notebook for a specific project.
Yeah.
Whereas I like to keep everything in. It's like, well, if I leave this at home, then I don't have everything that I've been working on, and everything can connect.
No, every different idea I have, project I have, is a different notebook. And a lot of them have never seen the light of day, but it's just like, God, I feel bad for my family who'd be around that has to like go through my stuff, because they're gonna be like, fuck.
Well, that's a good thing for you, because your focus is so easier, I guess, to target. It's like you have everything you need to see when you need to see it right there. Whereas I probably have other things that kind of interfere, where I'm constantly trying to integrate different systems. So it's a constant level of learning and refinement, not just for how notes are, or because we write things down, and the common people that I guess my age range and all that, they're like, I write down a grocery list.
Well, and a lot of people now with their phones, they don't even have the energy to use their fingers to type it. Now, talk to text.
Yeah.
People just like write their notes by just talking to their phone.
If you're using notes, and that's a good method. But if you're just texting back and forth to somebody, then
texting is one thing. But I'm like, if you're writing down your thoughts in like an app on your note, like they can't even type it; they have to talk.
Yeah, well, that's something that's been implemented since the recorder. People go to lectures and record the whole thing.
True.
So
I don't think I've sent you guys like physical text in like a year. I've just been sending you voice text. That's why a lot of them are so fucked up.
Even the physical ones would be fucked up. Right?
Yeah.
I misspell everything. Even my voice to text started misspelling things.
Well, Justin, let's move on to your topic here.
Were you done?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I was done like 15 minutes ago. You guys decided to start.
I know. We
rambling about
We derailed it there. So
my 10-minute topic made it a half an hour.
Let's keep it in the darkness here. We're going to
We can bring another lamp in.
We briefly discussed what this is going to be, so I gave you guys the assignment as far as writing our obituaries or eulogies, some sort of speech that you would say at a funeral or a wake or a passing, if it was right on the spot or so. Like, what did we mean to you, or I guess what did we mean to each other? Or
if
so
that's
like
what you think I went with this, nope.
You sent me a text, or did you talk to me in person? I don't remember what it was.
It was over message.
Yeah, but it was like, well, if it's not that, so if you want to do it, like, just make it creative. I mean, I think it's definitely going to be entertaining for us, but
it's a roast. It's a roast is what I'm
full on dark
if
roast,
you're roasting
baby.
at a funeral, I feel like we didn't mean much.
That's what I want my funeral to be, is people like roast. I don't want it to be sad.
He starts his speech off usually like, I don't want to toot my own horn.
To tell you the truth, like, I'm really excited to read my eulogy / roast that I did for you guys, especially Lonnie's, because I think my opening line for Lonnie's is pure gold. You guys might not laugh at it, but when I wrote it, I was cracking up. So,
So I wrote up a little thing here, and I'll go ahead and read this here, a little preface to our eulogies here. So, kind of going back to Peter Steele, everything dies, everybody dies. That was the title of his song. Everything dies.
Every day I'm hustling.
No. So everybody dies. We never get the chance to witness our own funerals, to know exactly how our loved ones truly felt about someone. I think having a living funeral would be a cool custom. The topic was evolved from a practice I adopted through the Stoics. I've spoken on this briefly in the past, but coming from the phrase memento mori, meaning remember that you will die. I think the average person thinks of Stoicism as nihilistic, but Stoicism isn't so easily put into a box like a body. There's many different greats with different reach. There's something for everyone when it comes to the Stoics. The practice I mentioned was to meditate on feeling the loss of someone. Grief is a hard emotion to deal with. It's a natural as death and often always created by it. The average person these days rather distract, self-medicate, or never fully process their emotions, which give rise to many other mental and physical and often relational factors. I meditate on witnessing my daughters dying. If someone came in the house at night, something happened at school, I sit with these feelings because if and when that event ever were to occur, I am practiced at processing these. Death and tragedy does not always come with warning, so I figure this will be a fun one before we touch on a more serious tragedy with Jeremy's topic. So
he said that about me?
That was pretty much my opening to this here. Like, just meditating on things that could happen. It's like when things finally happen, it can be a snapping point, a breaking point. But if you don't have the tools to process certain things, I think it's much harder on those who are constantly trying to distract themselves from actually feeling. And that starts so many problems with other people. It's like people will move into a different relationship because of the grief, not necessarily loss with death, but grief of a prior relationship or whatever. So they carry those problems and burdens with them. And I feel like it's better to process that, to know yourself, to be able to understand where the source or pinnacle of these problems are, that you can work through it. Because not only does it help you break the chain, break the cycle, because you'll continuously do that in next relationships or in work environments, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, you'll level up. Yeah.
You know, it's something you were saying at the beginning of that, like, it would be interesting, because I've thought of that before, like, to be able to see your funeral and how people react, but it would be a cool thing to do, a tradition to do. But the problem with that is if people know that you're not really dead, they're going to exaggerate what they're saying about you and stuff like that. To it's where it would be, you would have to seriously fake your own death. But then when people find out that you were joking, you're fucked. Like,
right. Especially
one or
if
two
they
ways.
cremate you.
Some people can be like in on it, but yeah,
I mean, like, I would be pissed if like one of you guys said that you died and like went on with it and stuff like that. And we had your funeral, and then all of a sudden I find out, it was a joke. Like, I'd be happy you're alive, but I'd be like, fuck you, man. Like, that's right. Fucked up. I'm not talking to you ever again.
It's going to take a lot of trips to Hoo-Hot to get over that.
It's like I said earlier, like, I'm coming from a Stoic practice here. It's like I consider myself like a Buddhist stoic, and it kind of works with both of it. Like in Buddhism, like the first noble truth is all realms of existence is a realm of suffering. So yes, where we are, we feel pain, we think we have bad thoughts. Like these things that hold our attention, our sensory perceptions, all this, they can be ways of harm. But if you can work through that and if you can make harsh truths become just truths, and not be so attached to the sensation of it. It's like, oh, okay, I understand it. I can kind of rise above this. It's like I know the center of my issue, so now I can work on it. Most people do not even want to recognize their issue. So if Lonnie or yourself were to pass, I wanted to sit through this and meditate on this. Like, fuck, man, like how would I feel? This would be crushing. Like I love both of you. But for a podcast, I have to make this entertaining. So yeah, it's like, but when it actually happens, it's going to be abrupt. How we're talking about these celebrities, like they're young and they still have so much life to them. Like they were probably just making videos or talking to somebody out in public the day before. And then all of a sudden gone,
Yeah.
That's going to be us eventually. So it's like, how are we supposed to process this if you don't have the tools to practice it?
Right.
Like grief is something that's inevitable. It's part of our realm of suffering. It's part of the human experience. If we don't work with it, if we try to avoid it, we'll never be conditioned and we'll be crushed, we'll be hurt, we'll be unable to move forward. So how do we do that without processing it?
Yeah. I have to admit something with that beautiful intro and an explanation. I really missed the mark. Like mine's not beautiful or elegant at all.
That's what I was saying.
This is just an opening of that. Mine does not. I'm not even going to say anything.
I mean, yeah, I already gave spoiler alert with mine it's a roast. Like I'm roasting you guys, but in all honesty, me roasting you guys,
it's a term of endearment.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. 100%.
Yeah. And everybody at home know too, like the love in this room is so immense that when we give each other shit, when we give Justin shit, or we call Jeremy no fun, like this is a character, this is a persona, this isn't.
Don't break kayfabe.
And that's
come on.
That's kind of one of the
things
things too.
Like,
Paco says we can't do that anymore. So
I am a very opinionated person, but I exaggerate things so much because I'm all about entertainment. And at work, for example, when I'm around people, if something falls on my foot but it doesn't hurt, I'll be like, oh my God, and I'll like exaggerate because that gets more of like entertainment value than if I was just like,
right,
fell on my foot. I mean, that's the same thing here. And I actually I think I was telling my sister this the other day, like us picking on Justin, always like with his movie choices and his topics and stuff like that.
Right.
That's all for fun and
oh,
entertainment.
absolutely.
Like, yeah, there are times where Justin says like a topic and in my head, I'm like, but no, we got to do that. So no, I've honestly been excited for this. I thought this was a pretty cool thing to do. But like I said, when he said it to me, writing something loving and stuff like that never crossed my mind. It was we're roasting the shit out of each other.
Yeah, back into our stage personas.
Yeah.
Well, since you're so excited, we'll do one person each and then go back and do the other person.
Make it around.
Okay.
I'll go ahead, let you kick it off.
So who should I do first?
Let's shuffle it up.
Okay. I'm going to do Justin's first.
Okay.
And like I was telling Lonnie when he came to my work earlier, I was like, writing this, it sounded like gold to me. But
Saying
reading it, I'm probably going to like stumble over things.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the issue too. I think I was telling him too. I'm like, I don't know if I want to see you guys when I'm reading off. Like I want to be behind a box or something. Like, we're sitting at 3 different tables facing each other. So
okay, so we are at Justin's funeral, and
I will kill my mic because I'm dead.
I have gone up to the podium. I want to first start off by expressing my condolences to Crystal, Zora, and Maya for having to miss the Paw Patrol on Ice show today in order to be here at their husband and father's funeral. Poor planning as always on Justin's part, but it makes me happy to see such a great turnout. As mentioned before, Justin's wife Crystal and his 2 daughters are here, and well, it looks like Chuck is the only other one here. Turns to Justin. Justin, unfortunately, Lonnie isn't here today as he didn't think he had to be here at your funeral and figured I could just handle things on my own.
Oh, man.
Okay. Justin was a planner, as we all know, and planned just in case a tragic event would happen that would end his life suddenly and far too soon. He had told me in case of such an event happening, he had a lockbox at his bank with a note he would like me to read. He had given me a copy of the key many years ago and told me to get the note the day of his funeral and read it for his close friends and family. Fortunately for everyone here, I am not going to subject you to having me read Justin's final thoughts. Granted, the note is only 2 pages long, but it is in a 4-point font size, and the pages are front and back. I tried reading through it before coming up here today, and basically the gist of his letter was that he loved you all and will miss you and yada, yada, yada. If you want to get an idea of what his note said, you can pretty much hear it on episode 058 of the Boundless PodTrap and also episode 065 where he talks about triangle schemes. Justin was many things in life. What those things are, I'm not sure. I know one of them was a mailman, but beyond that, I'm not too sure what he does in life. Oh, and if you all smell a garlicky scent, don't worry, it isn't your breath or anything like that. The smell is actually coming from Justin. The embalmer said that it is normal for the deceased to leak out smells after the embalming process that their body was overpowered with. Nose plugs are available at the end of the pews you are in if it is becoming too much for you. I feel it is necessary to share a funny story or two about Justin before he is laid to rest under the earth's surface. But honestly, the guy wasn't that funny. Most of my time spent with him, he was too busy drinking ginger and belching, as he has ginger right now. So instead, I figured I would turn the podium over to anyone else who has a funny story to tell about Justin. Crystal, I only feel it is right for you to start since you were married to Justin. Crystal? Crystal, hey, would you like to share a funny story about your husband? No? Oh, okay. Really? That's weird. Okay, what about you, Zora? Would you like to tell a funny story about your dad? Okay, who taught you to use that finger at your elders? Did your father teach you that? Chuck, now I know you have some stories to tell about Justin. Would you like to come up here and tell one? Oh, okay, he's standing up. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. Oh, and Chuck's leaving. Bye, Chuck. Well, I guess no one has any stories to share about Justin. At this point, I would settle for depressing stories about Justin. No, not even that? Wow. Okay, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up here. So to sum up everything that was said, Justin passed away suddenly. He misses and loves you. It smells like garlic. Chuck left, and Justin's daughters needs to be more polite to her elders. Real cute, Zora. Yeah, 2 middle fingers pointed at me. Way to go. Your dad would be real proud of you. I'll miss you, Justin, and will always have a part for you in any of my movies, even though you are not here on Earth with us anymore. Now maybe there will be some charisma to your characters. Just kidding, but not really. Oh, and as a reminder, there will not be a luncheon after today's funeral because Justin is fasting and would have wanted it this way. Thank you for coming out today, and remember to check out our latest episode of the BPT, episode 098, where Lonnie and I will have a full episode in remembrance of one of the greatest friends we could ever have had in our life. That's right, a full episode dedicated to Paco as he finally is living out his dream and being a main character in Cats the Musical on Broadway. Way to go, Paco. Way to go. Where'd Justin go?
Right on. There's a few of those that got me a little bit of a chuckle there.
I thought the Lonnie one was.
Yeah. And
I took me as wait a minute, I thought this was a Justin roast.
And my daughter Zora is kind of learning. Her sign language is getting a little bit more fast,
and she'd probably gladly use it on me.
There's a few things she's learned at the gym, and I'm like, where'd you learn that? But I guess the kids at the gym.
From the gym.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Well, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
I can go.
All right.
I think you should do Justin's.
No, I'm a saving Justin's.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
Justin's is for the finale. So this one is about my good friend Jeremy.
Turn my mic off. I'm dead, apparently.
No, leave it on.
Oh, okay.
Man, this is such a tough day for me. So much harder than anyone else. He was my hero, my world, my everything. I don't know if my life can go on without him. The bond we had was truly unbreakable. Like twins, but from another womb. Man, I'm going to tell you about how me and Jeremy first met. It was my first night working a Magnum Pro show. And I was backstage. I was nervous. And I seen this guy come by with a straight edge tattoo. Like, wow, okay, there's other people like me here. And I said, cool tattoo. And he said, get back to work. And okay. And as I turned to walk away, he said, fucking Mark. And I had to laugh because he thought I was somebody named Mark, but I wasn't. I was Lonnie. But he noticed me. And that was a great show. He was so good. He ran out and he hardly tripped under the bottom rope, but he got there. And then we worked together for a little bit, and then Now came along when I came back from California. I went to live my dream, but I came back and he was still here, waiting. Now was starting and I was working and I was still taking pictures, finding my true path. And Jeremy was out doing commentary and he could have chose anybody, but he chose me. And he said, hey, clean that spit off the ring. And I had to use my sock, but I did it. I felt so useful. And he didn't acknowledge me afterwards, but I could tell he was so proud of me. And then we became good friends. It's almost to the point where we had nicknames for each other, like he'd be my buddy or my bro, and then he had nicknames like me, like Kike or fascist pig fucker. But we started spending so much time together where we would write shows and we would do things, and then we'd go out and he'd have me buy him dinner or drive him places. And it felt so good having that friend, that friend you need. And then he was always so willing to bring me candy and make sure I got it. No one else could get it. He made sure that I got it. It's just so thoughtful and caring. And when I was really trying to make my first movie, he was there, and he not only helped me make my movie, he also helped me get COVID. And he lived through it with me, and it was great. It was the best Thanksgiving I ever had. And he's never not used an idea I've came up with. Every single idea he's always loved. We've always used every single one of them. And he's never complained once about anything I've ever done. He's always been so supportive. He died like he lived. Super hot and burning. I'm never going to forget him. Goodbye, my love. I actually teared up.
Well, that was you clean that spit off.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you did it very well.
I feel like there was more to the truth than
I remember that spit. That was so gross.
Was that what's his name? Savage Man or whatever his name is?
Yeah, was it Abu or was it Jesse?
Con Artiste.
Oh. Yeah, and you're like, clean that up.
I just remember.
And I'm like, how do you want me to fucking clean it up?
John,
and you throw an empty water bottle at me.
John and I were on commentary, and he tagged out. It was a tag match. Keep in mind, this is a outdoor show, and it's hot. He tagged out, was on the apron. He spit, and this is the ring apron, brand new, first show, super nice looking. This big loogie came out of his mouth, landed on the ring skirt right in front of John and I. And I just remember John was talking and I pointed it out, and John in the middle of the commentary is like, yeah, and it looks like, oh my God, that is the grossest thing I've ever seen.
And they're both like, clean that. And I'm like, I don't, and they gave me an empty bottle. I'm like, what the fuck do you want me to do with this? And they're like, get rid of it. So I had to take off my shoe and take off my sock and clean the spit off with my sock.
Did you put it back on?
No, but then they're like, all right, go back to work.
They didn't appreciate you.
I don't remember being that harsh about it.
One of my first, viewings of watching you perform, I guess as commentator, I think it was before we even started a podcast together here. But I was sitting aisle and there was like a tall dude, long hair, pants and shirt.
Wow, that's 90%.
Fuck, what was it? Yeah. But anyways, he went to before he entered first, and then I forget who his opponent was. It might have been
you're really good at this.
What's his name? Eye patch.
Duke.
Yeah, Duke Cornell.
Madman Fulton.
Madman Fulton. That's the guy. He did a little snot little thing right before Duke Cornell came in, and then his snot landed on my cheek. I'm like, oh God damn it! Like.
Is that what that mark is on your face?
This is, yeah.
I remember, the best thing about that show was going to food afterwards. And him trying to
He had an appetite?
Him trying to feed Tracy his alcoholic milkshake. He's like, you'll really like it. She's like, no, I'm good. And he's like, fine. And he's like, I'll drink it myself.
That guy, he could eat and he could drink. He put down a lot. Like his payday for that show was spent on food and drink afterwards.
Fulton or Cornell?
Okay. Fulton, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll move it into mine here.
All right, get it, buddy.
I will take Lonnie first.
All right. Get me. Do you not want me to look at you?
I'm not going to look at you.
Okay.
Thank you all for coming out to show your respects to our dear departed friend, Lonnie Aaron Elder. He had all the makings of a serial killer. A crazy hair, commonly used middle name, edgy interest, weird collections, bedwetter, pyro tendencies. Although if he were here today, I mean like alive, not like this with his stupid body over there, he'd object to that last part since the reason he wet the bed was to put the fire out. But he was far from a serial killer. He'd barely beat his meat to completion. Many of you know he was an avid boater, and to help facilitate that feeling once more, I hope everybody had a chance to pay the respects to his body before we shut his tanning bed casket, while we give words of English. If you want any of his tats, we have a sterile electric turkey cutter and a licensed operator to see that through. I'm definitely going to sniff some of that myself. That's saved my ink forever. Lonnie is edible, but I wouldn't. He wasn't opposed to eating, fucking, or smoking his dead body. Lonnie and myself were filmmakers, writers. Before his passing, we started to write a film. We started to write a Western. I'm gonna take a brief moment to describe it the best I can for you. He was excited for it, so I feel it's only right. So bear with me. The story is about a cowboy looking for his cowgirl, and he was a heavy poker player. Heavy as in more on a bigger side. His name was Doe, but they called him Big Deal because his card skills. He'd travel on his trusty steed to neighboring saloons, bagging money and women until he crossed sights with Cowgirl. That's her name. We didn't really have a concrete name for her. Well, anyways, Cowgirl was kidnapped by a shadow group called Missionary, hired from the evil governor. You know, he has banks and outlaws in his pockets, and even deranged scientist who was the governor's half-brother. When Missionary kidnapped Cowgirl, Big Deal stepped in to get her back. They experimented on Cowgirl and made her evil, and she was now known as Reverse Cowgirl. And Reverse Cowgirl ended up taking on the hot seat by dominating Missionary and seeked out to put the hurt on Big Dildo. So Lonnie and I were still working out the kinks, but we felt we had a plenty of lubricant to get this off with a bang. Things get plenty messy fast. Anyways, enough about that. More on the life of our recently departed. I've only known Lonnie a few years, and mostly through a friendship that bloomed from a podcast we were part of. Our other friend Jeremy sort of made introductions, but it was our friend Paco who was the one who made this man in the box known to me. Paco, if you are here, please stand up. Paco? Typical Paco did not show up for something this important. I'll move on. I wanted to express oh my God, there's a fucking baby in the tanning bed casket. Can somebody please get Moxley? I'm sorry, friends, family. In a few years, Lonnie and I knew each other. We bonded on many similarities, from music and movies, general interest. We were both husbands, both fathers. There's more, but Lonnie could easily write up a top 10 list on us. Lonnie came from dirt, not like the biblical Adam, but I'm more like the peanut pigpen. He was entirely selfless, that he would give the shirt off his back to anyone in need, and then give that back fat off his back if he lacked a shirt to give. I love the dude. As mentioned before, some of you remember him as a podcaster with Now This Is Wrestling and the Boundless PodTrap, which is primarily where I knew and loved the dude from with our friend Jeremy. You can find bumper stickers towards the exit. We were in the works of him and I starting another podcast called Shackety Shack, the Parody Goulash. It was just a hate cast to make fun of a dumbassery of another podcast called Yakety Yak with Jeremy Lubash. But we had absolutely nothing to go off of, and I couldn't blame Lonnie on this one. It was hard to pin down his frame of mind, but that was the entertaining and exciting thing about him. Novelty was his forte. He swam in the lakes and the rivers that he wasn't used to, hence why we are here today. Now, before I conclude and we get on with the 7 days of Shiva, I'd like to address the husk of our Haas here, Lonnie, with my own special tribute. Brother Lonnie, I will paint you in silver, and I will wrap you in gold. I will lift up your voice as I sink. Thank you, and hail Satan. Oh, and you can buy these silver wraps at Zazzle.com. Thank you. All right.
Oh my God, there's a baby in the casket. Oh man.
That's pretty great.
It's back to you, Jim.
Back to me. So another Lonnie one here.
I feel,
back to back.
I feel targeted.
All right, here. I'm like tearing up from laughing at that last one. So, okay. 2 Jews walked into a bar. Unfortunately, one of those Jews was Lonnie, and it caused him to have a hemorrhage in his head, and he died. Which brings us to why we are here today, to celebrate the life of Lonnie. But before I get into that, I was told to announce the winner of the game Lonnie wanted us to play at his funeral. So it gives me great joy to announce that Edna Elder was the winner of the game. She guessed that the lady in the clip we watched had 14 orgasms, and the correct answer was 16. She was 2 away. Great job, Edna. You get a $25 gift card to Bass Pro Shop. Now back to Lonnie. I remember the first time I met Lonnie. So what else can be said about Lonnie? He liked fishing. He loved fishing. In fact, many people don't know this about Lonnie, but he entered a tournament many years ago. And even though he didn't win the tournament, he was entered into the Guinness Book of World Records that day. He was the first person to get 5th-degree burns from fishing on his feet. You heard me correctly, from fishing. For those that say fishing isn't a dangerous sport, well, you're right, but damn it, Lonnie found a way to make it so. Let's all take notes that next time you go fishing, you don't sit on top of a shiny metal piece that attracts sun all day. Those are words I thought I would never have to tell people. I guarantee, thanks to Lonnie, more feet will be saved from burns while fishing on a boat, as they are going to put a warning label on every boat now. Looking around at all the flowers that people sent here to decorate the front of the end of this mortuary, I can't help but think of how beautiful it is. Such amazing smells, and it's so bright and colorful up here. I really wish that Lonnie could see all the pretty colorful flowers. Not because he is dead, but because he was colorblind and wouldn't be able to see the colors. Quite honestly, you all could have saved money by getting gray flowers. We could have just told Lonnie that they were colorful. He would have never known the difference. Lonnie really loved the band AFI, and I want to do something to show my love and appreciation for Lonnie's friendship he gave me over the years. So I reached out to Davey Havoc, the lead singer of AFI, and told him of the situation and how much of an avid lover of AFI and Davey Havoc that Lonnie was, and that it would mean the world if he could come out and play a song at my dear friend Lonnie's funeral. So it gives me great pleasure to announce the legendary and talented Davey Havoc is what I would have loved to say today, but instead Davey replied back and said the best he could do is send me a button with the band's logo on it. And if I'm being honest, I somehow lost it on the way over here. But you would have loved it, Lonnie. You would have loved it. After I received that response back from Mr. Havoc, I turned to another love of Lonnie's, and that was the Nightmare on Elm Street movie. God, he really loved that movie. So I reached out to Mr. Robert England to see if he could come out here to say a few kind words at the funeral of one of his biggest fans. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the very talented Robert England, a.k.a. Freddy Krueger. Is another thing I would have loved to say here today, but like Davey, Robert England responded back with basically his prices to do a cameo video for the deceased. But fuck, that guy is charging $250 for a 60-second clip. I'm not even going to try to do the math to see what that is per second, but come on, I have bills to pay, and with gas prices the way they are right now, and this damn funeral being over an hour away, I'm already spending way too much. But I really did want to do something special for my friend Lonnie here, and I wasn't going to stop until I got him something special to take place at his funeral. But I got a headache and fell asleep, and the next day I honestly just flat out forgot, and now here we are. This role will not be the same without Lonnie here. My condolences to his wife Tracy and son Moxley, who he has left behind. Tracy, Lonnie would have really wanted me to tell you that he loved you very much so, and that he owed me $50. So if you could give me cash, or if you want, you can stop at the ATM across the street, that would be great. My gas tank would really appreciate that. With that said, I want to thank you all for coming out today, and don't forget to go to Zazzle.com to purchase your RIP Lonnie t-shirts, stickers, hats, koozie, pens, or anything you want Lonnie's face and name on. That's Zazzle.com. Also, don't forget, later this afternoon, we are dropping BPT Movie Review Episode 054, which is supposed to be Lonnie's movie pick of the movie Begotten. But Justin and I said, fuck that, and instead we are going to review my pick, Uncle Buck. Thank you, everybody. My eyes are like burning from that because I was like laughing. But yeah, no, I really like that intro. I don't care what you guys say.
That was pretty great. That was pretty great.
And Justin and I, apparently, we are one and the same with the whole Zazzle.com thing.
Oh, that was an easy.
Oh, boys.
I wanted to.
No idea.
I wanted to do something with the color thing, but I was like, yeah.
That was fun.
Well, Lonnie.
All right. Me for Justin now.
Take me away.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Glad to see you all here. I know it was hard to be here because, like most of you, I'm sure you're not morning people. Nothing. No, okay. I know we've all lost a good friend like Justin. It was hard. It was almost as hard as when I lost my trademark Boundless PodTrap water bottle that you can get from Zazzle.com. It was a really good water bottle. Printed on, not like a sticker, but actually printed on. It was almost as bad as that. But losing Justin was hard too. His head was almost as shiny as the brass. Man, I miss that water bottle. But anyway, it's okay. Because we had some great times together, me and Justin. We had that podcast for 17 years. Covered some great stuff. Yeah, towards the end there, it seemed like we couldn't go wrong. Just like the quality of products we sell on Zazzle.com. Oh, man. I'm going to miss that guy. Like you shouldn't miss the great deals on Zazzle.com. Oh, man. His vast wealth of knowledge, it seemed like, on everything was immense. He could talk to you for hours about anything and everything, regardless if you wanted to hear it or not. But he had so much passion and love about everything. I can't help but feel like if I actually would have listened, I might have learned something. But if you want that information, you can listen to our whole catalog and the Boundless PodTrap, that you can hear my beautiful voice more there. If this is soothing to you, man, I'm gonna miss him so much. Justin was a man of many talents. He was the heart and soul of the Boundless PodTrap. I was the funny one, but he was definitely the heart and soul. And I used to be the fat one, and the short fat one, but that was never true. Justin was always shorter and fatter, but I couldn't have done half the things without his help. He was just always there to make me better. I didn't need much help, but just always made me better. And I appreciated him so much for it. Justin will be missed by his family, his wife and his 2 daughters, and all of our fans we have at the Boundless PodTrap, where you can hear all of our episodes. And lastly, as a partner, a brother, and most importantly, a friend, you too can remember Justin by buying your memorial Justin t-shirt at Zazzle.com. All proceeds will go to the Justin Memorial Fund that will help put a new roof on the studio. For this occasion, and to wish Justin off, I've taken this opportunity to write a song for Justin and for all of you today. I hope you enjoy it. Can you hear that?
I'm dead, so no.
All right, here we go. This is a song I wrote for Justin. I wrote this. right, okay.
I was like, wait a minute. I know that song.
I wrote that just for you, Justin. I was watching my favorite ship movie, and that made me think of you, that there was so much loss.
Ghost Ship?
Yeah, Ghost Ship.
Oh, that has that Senza Fina song. That's a really beautiful song.
Dude, you're dead. Why are you talking?
I'm singing in my death.
Yeah.
Am I still dead or
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the tune. Yeah. Good job. Thank you. That was very beautiful.
No, it wasn't.
I felt like I heard that somewhere.
It was such an awkward way to try to hold a bass and sit in a chair that has arms.
I don't know if
we tried getting Celine Dion, but
yeah, I don't know if the music is gonna come through. I'll have to like up the sound on that. But right on. Thank you. So Jeremy's funeral, Jeremy's obituary, eulogy, thingy majiggy. All right. We are gathered here today to celebrate the life of one Jeremy Lubash. Before I begin, I first want to show my appreciation and respect to those who helped coordinate this event. To his mother, right here in the front row, my deepest condolences. His favorite sister, Jamie, and his other one, Stacy. A quick note, also, I'll be leaving these stack of Boundless PodTrap bumper stickers here next to his casket. Please take one when you come up. I'd like to give a special thanks to the Hendricksons for giving us this imaginative display by customizing his casket in the shape of a clapboard for his final scene. Many of you knew him as an inspired filmmaker, a writer, a director. Before I get too far into this, I want to first clear the air in the room. I'm sure many of you are asking yourself two questions. You are wondering, where have I seen this guy? Many of you know me as one of the actors in much of his work. Him and I would develop ideas and concepts, and he'd be inspired enough to write them down and create some amazing art. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Justin Lonnie. And to your second question, you might be wondering, why is this guy naked? I just want to say that this morning, as I was getting ready for this wake, I was rushed with so many memories of Jeremy here. I know it's what he would want me to do. Nakedness has thick symbology. It's a symbol of openness, expression, to bear all. I am showing my vulnerability in this hard time as you 75 plus attendees stare at my flaccid penis. To me, Jeremy was more than a business partner in a film, podcast, media. He was a true friend. He was a great man. And judging by our years of flirty text exchange, I'm pretty sure we were a boyfriend-girlfriend. Or boyfriend-boyfriend. I never got the chance to ask him. Jeremy would go out of his way to see his friends and family win. He wanted to inspire so much and others to see them succeed. But he had a God complex. In fact, half of you in this room, he would admit, would be nothing without him. He created you. He had his hands on everything, which brings me to this. Some of you, if you follow the news or social media or the many memes that we're made after the fact, knows that I was the one who found him. It was tragic. I don't want to go into too much detail since my statement hasn't been fully public, but this is what I can say. As most people say, I have a keen and accurate sense of deductive reasoning and situational analysis, that my findings and judgments are above 96% accuracy. But we shared a studio, excuse me, I'm sorry guys. Okay, I need a moment. No, I'm okay. I'm okay. We shared a studio for our filmmaking and podcast brands. Being the type of guy who is often connected to his phone, it appeared he got distracted in the middle of an emergency bathroom run. Jeremy had a chronic irritable bowel syndrome, so it appeared he made the attempt to undo his buckle on the way to the private studio door. My analysis suggests that he forgot his phone, which caused him to turn and twist fast enough to create centrifugal force, expelling his belt from his pant loops. A quick reaction of grabbing his phone from the desk, he sensed and caught the movement from his peripheral, and simultaneously the belt buckle lodged at the top of the sliding door, which caused a stumble with the other part of the belt to wrap and lock around his neck. Oh God. He helplessly struggled and fought as the belt restricted tighter around his neck. Jeremy lost footing as the door slid, and Jeremy's pants crept to his ankles. leaving him exposed. Caught in a panic, his natural reaction blunted his own safety as he grabbed his member while possibly attempting to contact help on his phone still in hand. It appears it was our fellow podcaster, Lonnie. His body expelled over a gallon of defecation shortly thereafter. Imagine my shock when I arrived to the studio, tracing down the long hallway that Jeremy and I walked so many times over together. We would laugh uncontrollably in those halls. As I approached the studio at the end of the hall, all I could see is ass cheeks pressed to the bottom panes of glass, with smackled chunks of brown sushi and the like crusted to the window, soaking into the carpet. We'll never get our deposit back. I saw the back of his legs limp, and all I saw was horror. It literally read horror. I slid the door open with ample force to see my best friend hanging from the door, asphyxiated by his own belt with his junk in one hand and a picture of our dear friend Lonnie on the phone in the other. The sight, the stench, the ringing in my ears. Well, the ringing was just his alarm reminding him to take his pill. I do apologize for the graphic display. It had to be said. I'm still processing a bit of it, so this really helps. If any of you are interested in seeing the scene, you can check it out on uncensored under the special column on the ML Image Patreon. Anyways, Jeremy Lubosh had this air about him that really brought out the best in others. He surely had a way to disarm you and pull out your own potential. I've personally seen it take effect many times on projects, performances I've never seen from other men in the past. I mean, outside gym locker rooms, I've never seen so many other grown-ass men's asses. He had this natural gift. Many people think of those we lost, and we have fading memories of the things we did together, but we will always recall how they made us feel. Jeremy made me feel like I was capable of anything. His belief and encouragement in others was impeccable and rare. It wasn't empty words. I stand naked before you all as a reflection of our Jeremy. That's how I found him, and that's how you will find me. Mind you, way better manscaped. This here is not the memory, but the emphasis of how he made you feel, how he aimed to make you smile, to provide a reel of happiness and thought. In closing, I want you all to think back to this man and project yourself forward to a place in your life where his lasting effect had cause and a purpose to reach your highest potential and contentment, and ride that reel. Now prep the clapboard. Jeremy Lubosh, final ending. A not so much action, and the coffin closes.
Now I want that coffin. I lost my shit when you said that. The Hendricksons did that. Oh man.
All right.
I really hope that's not the way I go.
What?
Otherwise, I'm blaming you for it.
You were trying to grab your phone. Your belt got caught.
I mean, it's completely possible.
And probable too. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm just picturing that would be a great. Has it ever been done with a casket where it's just like end scene?
It will now.
Wow,
you got to die.
Yeah.
Work on that.
Jeez,
my cholesterol is well on the way to doing that.
Oh. Well, this is our little obituary, eulogy, funeral speeches, wake performances, if you will. I figured this would be a little bit of a brevity before we get into our main topic here, where it gets a little bit darker, or a lot bit darker, because this is kind of some more serious shit. We like to use humor to process things. For all of three of us, it is a natural tool that really helps us. We're going to try not to be as humorous with the delving into this. Jeremy has done a mass load of shit. You.
That's how
on
you
this
found
topic.
Me.
Yeah, on this topic. So he's going to take the reins. Go ahead, man.
All right. So, like I said, I did a lot of stuff. I wrote a lot of stuff down. It's kind of all over the place. So I'm going to read this first thing. We're talking about the 2017 Las Vegas shooting that took place at the music fair that was going on out there, the Route 91 Harvest Festival. And I'm just going to read this first part right here of the Wikipedia page for it. And I apologize. There's going to be a lot of talking by me at first and stuff, but
oh God.
Yeah, I know. So on October 1st, 2017, Stephen Paddock, a 64-year-old man from Mesquite, Nevada, opened fire on the crowd attending the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival on the Las Vegas Strip in Nevada. From his 32nd floor suites in the Mandalay Bay Hotel, he fired more than 1,000 bullets, killing 60 people and wounding 411, with the ensuing panic bringing the number of injured to 867. About an hour later, Paddock was found dead in his room from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. His motive is officially undetermined. The incident, and this is the crazy thing here, this incident is the deadliest mass shooting committed by an individual in the United States history. So that's what we're going to delve into here. There's a lot to talk about here. There's some things that may not get mentioned.
At least it looks that way.
Right. So the first thing I'm going to do is something that usually gets overshadowed. Usually when something like this happens, which sadly is a common occurrence with these senseless shootings and killings or just terroristic attacks, a lot of times you know about the killer. The killer's face is posted everywhere. They talk about the killer, which it makes sense because I think a lot of us want to know what made this person do what they did. But what's usually neglected are the victims. And so I want to start off, it had said 60 died, but there
was 58 who were killed.
Yes,
2 died after the fact.
Yes. So what I'm going to do is, and I apologize to the 2 that are left off here, but I'm going to read the names and ages of the 58 victims from the shooting just to pay honor to them. I apologize because I'm going to probably butcher a lot of these names. But so we have Hannah Ehlers, who is 34 years old. Heather Alvarado, who is 35. Doreen Anderson, 49. Carrie Barnett, 34. Jack Beaton, 54. Steve Berger, 44. Candace Bowers, 40. Denise Berditis, 50. Sandy Casey, 34. Andrea Castilla, 28. Denise Cohen, 58. Austin Davis, 29. Thomas Day Jr., 54. Christina Duarte, 22. Stacy Etcheber, 50. Brian Frazier, 39. Carrie Galvin, 31. Dana Gardner, 52. Angela Gomez, 20. Rocio Gulian Roca, 40. Charleston Hartfield, 34. Chris Hazencombe, 44. Jennifer Topaz Irvine, 42. Teresa Nicole Kamura, 38. Jessica Kleinchick, 34. Carly Krimbaum, 33. Rhonda LaRoque, 42. Victor Link, 55. Jordan McLeodin, 23. Kelsey Meadows, 28. Kayla Marie Mendig, 28. James Sonny Melton, 29. Patricia Mestis, 67. Austin Mayer, 24. Adrian Murfitt, 35. Rachel Parker, 33. Jenny Parks, 36. Carrie Parsons, 31. Lisa Patterson, 46. John Fippen, 56. Melissa Ramirez, 26. Jordan Rivera, 21. Quentin Robbins, 20. Cameron Robinson, 28. Tara Rowe, 34. Lisa Romero Munez, 48. Chris Roybell, 28. Brett Schwambach, 61. Bailey Schwetzer, 20. Laura Ship, 50. Eric Silva, 21. Susan Smith, 53. Brennan Stewart, 30. Derek Bo Taylor, 56. Nasa Tonks, 46. Michelle Vo, 32. Kurt Von Tillo, 55. And Bill Wolf, 42. Those are the 58 victims from that. Again, there was actually 60, and I apologize for not having those names, but they had passed on at a later date from it. But it's not much coming from us for this, but I just felt that was necessary to get the names out there to pay respects to them, just because, I mean, if you think about 58, that's a large number of people. Yeah.
And that's only a percentage of the people who were actually affected by it.
Yeah.
As far as, I mean, everybody was affected by it mentally, but the people who were injured, nearly 900.
Yeah.
That's nearly 1,000, including the deaths.
And I hate to say this because of the situation, but I am shocked that the number dead was not higher than what it was.
Right.
He was above them.
Yeah, the high vantage point.
Shooting down at them. And I mean, it's just a crowd of people. It's like you shoot, you're hitting. You're not going to miss, hardly.
The only thing I can think why the casualty number was so low is the distance. Like, he was a quarter of a mile away.
Yes, but they did find, and we'll get more into this later too, but he used a table, like a side table.
To tripod something.
And on the table next to that, they said that there was like geometry, like he was figuring out
he knew
angle
the
of
schematics of the distance and...
Oh, absolutely. But just the power of the gun and stuff like that. Right. Like, even from that distance might be why so many people were injured over killed, was that just the bullets from that might just not have had enough momentum to travel completely through the body.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he had how many different... He had over...
It was 20... Like, he had
24
he brought
weapons.
like 20 bags or so in, and then it was like over 40 weapons.
Right.
And I'll kind of get into that because right now I read the victims. I'm going to read the timeline of what happened with this event, and then we will really delve into this. So this all started actually on September 9th of 2017, where Paddock reserves a room at the Mandalay Bay Hotel in Las Vegas. September 25th, 2017, Paddock checks into the hotel with a checkout date of October 2nd. He rolls one bag to his room himself, and a bellman uses a luggage cart to bring up 4 other bags. Paddock then leaves and returns to his home in Mesquite, Nevada. September 26th, Paddock wires $50,000 to a bank account in the Philippines where his girlfriend, Mary Lou Danley, is visiting family. Paddock then returns to Las Vegas and visits a pair of casino hotels before returning to Mandalay Bay, where he brings another 6 suitcases on a luggage cart, as well as another rolling suitcase to his room. Paddock then begins gambling at the hotel overnight and into the next morning for more than 8 hours. September 27th. Paddock insists on relocating to another room, saying he wants a better view, and is given a suite with 2 adjoining rooms. That night, Paddock drives back to Mesquite and buys luggage, razor blades, fake flowers, and a vase and a styrofoam ball at a Walmart. September 28th, Paddock buys a .308 bolt-action rifle from a gun store in Mesquite and wire transfers an additional $50,000 to an account in the Philippines. Paddock also goes to a gun range before returning to Las Vegas. He brings another 2 rolling suitcases and a laptop bag to his Mandalay Bay room, and again gambles for more than 6 hours until early the next morning. September 30th. After spending September 29th mostly in his room, Paddock places Do Not Disturb signs on his adjoining rooms and drives to Mesquite, and then returns to his Mandalay Bay suite with 4 more suitcases. He then drives back to Mesquite. Now we reach October 1st, 2017, the day of the attack. Paddock returns to Mandalay Bay early in the morning and gambles for 4 hours. He brings 2 more rolling suitcases and a bag to his room. And throughout the afternoon, officials say he is detected opening and closing the doors to his suite multiple times, probably while preparing for his attack. 9:36 p.m., Paddock deadbolts the door to one of his rooms and then deadbolts the door to the other one 10 minutes later. 10 p.m., security guard Jesus Campos arrives via elevator on the 32nd floor to investigate an alert of an open door in a guest room down the hall from Paddock's suite. Campos checks the stairwell door that blocked his entry to the floor minutes earlier and discovers that it has been fastened closed with an L bracket. 10:04 p.m., Campos calls security dispatch to report the blocked door. His call is routed to the facilities maintenance department, which dispatches maintenance engineer Stephen Shuck to go to the floor. 10:05 p.m., Paddock fires 2 initial shots at the Las Vegas Village, the open-air venue across the street from the hotel where the Route 91 Harvest Musical Festival is being held, with more than 20,000 attendees. Then he fires some more. 10:06, Campos hears what he later described as rapid drilling noises as Paddock fires about 100 rounds at concert-goers. Paddock, who placed surveillance cameras outside of his room, starts shooting through the door and down the hallway at Campos, hitting the security guard in the leg. Campos, who is unarmed, takes cover and radios a hotel dispatcher for help, giving Paddock's room number on the 32nd floor. 10:07, Paddock resumes firing hundreds of rounds at concert-goers. 2 Las Vegas police officers are already in the building on another call. They head upstairs, presumably to try to find the source of the gunfire, along with 2 armed Mandalay Bay security guards. Over the next 2 minutes, Paddock takes several pot shots at jet fuel storage tanks at the nearby airport, striking them twice but not igniting the fuel, before resuming firing on the concert crowd. 10:10. Shuck, the building engineer, arrives on the 32nd floor, and Campos yells for him to take cover. Paddock starts firing down the hall, and Shuck radios hotel dispatch to send police to the 32nd floor. 10:11. The 2 police officers arrive on the 31st floor, on 1 floor below Paddock's, as the gunman resumes firing on the concert crowd. 10:12. 2 armed Mandalay Bay security officers arrive on the 32nd floor, and the police and security guards on the 31st floor realize that the shooting is coming from 1 floor above them. 10:15. Paddock fires his final shots at concertgoers. 10:16. The 2 police officers on the 31st floor enter the stairwell outside the 32nd floor hallway, but do not confront Paddock. 10:57 p.m. Police breach the sealed 32nd floor stairwell doorway. 11:20 p.m. Police use explosives to blow open Paddock's door, and they discover Paddock dead. 11:26 p.m. Police breach the interior door to Paddock's second room, where a police officer accidentally fires 3 rounds into the room. So my first thing with all this is, how was it not suspicious with the hotel that this guy, over a period of a few days, was wheeling in so many goddamn suitcases?
I'd imagine there's gun shows and stuff here and there, and like off-duty police officers probably like in the lobby or something. I mean, like,
but that many,
they would,
like, I granted they didn't know what was in the bag.
I don't think many people consider it. I mean, yes, in most situations you should be alert for any sort of threat. They teach these classes here and there for most basic service jobs. You know, if you're a bellhop or something like that, there's a proper way of doing your job, and there's also safety briefings and all that. Like, right. Even the security, I've worked 3 different security jobs, and to say that you can trust everybody who's working it, I mean, this is hotel security.
To some people, it's just a paycheck.
Yeah, it's a job.
And he used the
freight elevator,
which is for employees, and had bellhops helping him too. It's just,
I know he was a millionaire or something like that, or like he was smart with his money. Him and his brother had a realty company or something like that. Right. I mean, like, they bought properties, and especially when it was cheap and booming in California and all that. So his stays, him and I believe his brother as well, were comped often at hotels. Right. So just to move up and get the upgrades and all that.
And they knew him pretty well there too.
So for him to have access, I mean, that is a step into it, but he's not an employee, and I don't know how he would have access to freight elevators.
Another thing you got to take into account, he was staying there a week, and I'm sure Vegas is used to seeing more awkward than numerous bags coming in, let alone someone who's staying there for an extended stay. So to them, it could be, oh, here's another weirdo.
There's their extended guests or royalty guests or whatever. I mean, like, treat them well, like, show them respect. And however they push that, I don't know this particular situation, but and usually if somebody's staying at a suite or, you know, the top floor, all that, I mean, this is the 32nd floor.
Yeah, and think how many rooms he switched between, and then he complained and wanted to be switched to something with a better view. At that point, they're probably just done with him. They're like,
it's just give him what he wants.
Fuck this guy.
He's spending some time on the casino floors, and
he's spending $50,000 a pop. But let him fucking gamble. And
I mean, I feel like if I was a bellhop there, and maybe what you guys said is true. Like, you know, it's Vegas. People come for conventions and stuff, so they might have a lot of bags or whatever with them. But I don't know. Just to me, helping a guy by himself with that many bags, and I mean, the bags had to be heavy, and they had to make noise.
Yeah.
Like, if you have metal guns clanking together. And I mean, I doubt you would be like, as the bellhop, be like, what's in here? Are these guns in here? But I feel like you'd report it.
Chalk it up to cosplay. I'm just, you know.
Yeah. But to me, Mandalay Bay, I think the way they handled this whole situation is bullshit. I mean, they tried suing all the victims. I'd be saying, because it's not their fault or whatever like that, which, you know, yes and no. I don't know. But to sue the victims, to me, that I feel like that should have been the nail in the coffin in Mandalay Bay, MGM. They should have been.
Yeah.
Like,
well, there is, if you want to talk conspiracy, there was stuff into that where the stock just a month before was pulled from MGM. and things were starting to tank. So it was giving way to being this is a inside job.
And we will get into conspiracy theories here in a little bit. But
to take what you just read, all that with all the names and all that, well, let's bring it back to that. I do agree that the victims don't ever get or hardly ever get the respect that they're doing. In a way, and this is kind of a rough statement here, it can be a waste of time. It is only valued to the people who know the people, not that they care what the news is going to say to them. It's like, yeah, you're getting the respect, but nobody else cares. It's like, I didn't know the person, but not to say I don't care, but it's like, I can't place a face, so I don't know who it was. They meant nothing to me, but
killer means nothing to me.
And it does suck because that's the person who's getting all the notoriety.
And that's why a lot of people do this.
Yeah. They want their fame. They think it means something. It's like, no, you're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit.
But his name's going down in history.
Yeah. But it's like, I don't know if because I did delve more into like the conspiracy and all this. It's like, this is what the news is saying. And that also with the news, I hate when people are like, well, I can't trust the news because the news is always, well, first off, you shouldn't really trust the news. Like, you should always approach things with a level mind, with a bit of skepticism, just verify, fact check, go back and confirm these things. Because they're saying, well, I don't know, they said this now, and then the next day they changed the whole story. It's like, yeah, because they didn't have the facts. And most of you guys are saying, oh, okay, if they aren't saying anything now, they're withholding things. It's like, well, it's a lose-lose either way. So it's like, in a situation, if I waited for everything to transpire, I should say, and then I put everything out, timelined and all that, it's like, it's going to take a while to process everything because we don't even have the motive. We don't have any of this. And there's so many things that's connected to this, but not connected to it, that you have to question. Well, they've already closed this case.
This is the thing is, that was another thing when this first happened. It was such a crazy thing in the largest mass shooting by a single person in U.S. history.
Right.
But
you can just get the joke out of there already that, it's just a country thing, but it's like, whatever.
But it felt like, okay, the day it happened, the day after, it was on the news. But then I just felt like it was just brushed to the side. It wasn't a big deal. And a lot of things this happened in fucking Las Vegas. There's cameras everywhere in Las Vegas, yet we don't know anything about this guy, how he pulled this off. And it wasn't until a while after it happened to where they finally started to release surveillance footage of him. And it's just because that was my thing. It's like, from the minute this guy arrived in the Las Vegas Strip, his every move was recorded.
It should have been.
The only time it wouldn't have been would have been in his room.
Right. Then, well, I guess it would have since he had cameras and stuff. But yeah, there was no security footage. To say it got brushed under or
and that's
just
probably a poor choice of words. It's just it's like
it was a happening thing.
Smaller things happen, and it's like they kept going and going. I'm like,
this is a mass murder.
Yeah.
But then Harvey Weinstein gets brought up, and then Boy Scouts of America get brought up because of allowing girls in the Boy Scouts. It's like people are making bigger problems or issues about that than they are these people who are affected. Like, yeah. It's like, yes, Harvey Weinstein, piece of shit, confirmed like all this, had dirt on, it's fucked up. That's how fast the news is always traveling and changing and stuff. So it's like you got to roll with the tide. And
so this is another thing, and it was posted, I don't know how long after, a year, 2 years. It could have actually been recently. So these people that go and they visit sites of things like this that happen, like tragedy or whatnot, they posted on YouTube. They walked into the Mandalay Bay. They walked to the freight elevator without being questioned, got on the freight elevator, went all the way up to the 32nd floor, got off, went to the room, which is now, they have the room. There's a wall
across from it, was it?
No, the room now that he was in, it's a wall now, and there's like pictures on it. That room is no longer accessible and stuff. But it was just, they were just showing that, again, Mandalay Bay MGM didn't do shit after this happened to try
Their security protocol is still, wow.
These people just walk, and they said that they went up and down the elevator. I think they said it was like 12, 13 times. Even went up to the roof, got access to the roof.
You're not supposed to have access to hotel roofs.
They were never stopped or questioned once by security or any staff members there, which again, and then we get to the conspiracy, like, This Mandalay Bay MGM, they're kind of on my shit list for this because they obviously don't give a shit about anything but themselves and making money.
So Ramada has bigger
I was going to say,
protocol than
I've stayed in lots of hojos that give a shit what you're doing.
Motel 60 or 88, whatever. Six, whatever has better security features.
Right. So have you guys seen
with cockroaches?
Have you guys seen the video of the year prior for that same music festival? Some guy that was attending got that exact same room, and he did a video room tour of it when he got there, showing what the room looked like on the inside and even like out the window at the venue. I think that's fucking weird that out of all the rooms, and for somebody to think I'm going to video record this room, this guy did that and he posted it on YouTube. So it's like you actually could see the room.
Right.
Well, it might
it's kind of the casino lottery thing. It's like there's a chance.
Right. And that might be one of the motivation factors why you went there. Because if you look into stuff, and it was pretty prevalent in the wiki, that he had scouted other locations. He was looking at Boston. He was looking at Chicago, Lollapalooza.
There was another one, the Ogden for the Life is Beautiful festival that same weekend.
So it could have been a possibility that he had seen that video and was like, oh, this is a prime location. Yeah. It could have been a deciding factor on that. Let me know when I'm allowed to pull out my redneck cart, because I have some stuff I wanted to go.
Go right ahead.
So I wanted to dive in a little bit into the weapon and the bullets and the bump stock.
Okay.
So about that time, I was working at Sportsman's Warehouse, which is the West Coast equivalent of like a Bass Pro Shop or a Cabela's, for those of you who don't live in the Midwest or the West Coast. And the two main weapons that he used were AR-15 and an AR-10, which are both assault rifles, equipped with a bump stock. And if you don't know what a bump stock is, it's an accessory used on the stock of a weapon, which is what you put into your shoulder. Justin, obviously you're familiar with a bump stock, so correct me if I'm wrong, but a bump stock it's a recoil. So when you pull the trigger, it recoils and fires again. Makes it more...
Yeah, you use your body for absorbing and continue.
So he was able, per burst, when he was firing his bursts off, because he had extended magazines, he was able to burst 80 to 100 shots per burst. So in the 10-minute period of time he was firing, that's how he was able to get 1,000 shots off so quickly, because he was shooting mass loads of bullets from an extended magazine with the bump stock. If it wasn't for those additions to his rifles, he would have had nearly
casualties would be
the destruction probabilities. In the AR-15, he was using .223 bullet. And that's why I was talking about the distance with being a quarter of a mile. The power or the energy that a .223 can produce is only like 1,230 feet worth of energy. So at 1,230 feet, that bullet starts losing its gas. It'll start dropping. It'll start really losing its power. Now it has, like 2,700 feet per second of travel, but it's losing power. So it'll go fast as hell, but it'll go like this.
Right. It still has the advantage of gravity, but that's not doing too much.
No, not at all. And that's what I was talking about earlier about he probably had on his angle, whatever he was angled to the area, he probably had a good angle at like the first couple of rows of people and into the arena.
You're at least hitting somebody. I mean, from the vantage point that he's at, like if you were straight on level and did like a little side spray, yeah, the modifications help control the spray, but where people are more staggered, so you enhance your target, you're at least hitting something.
Yeah, and he had mass numbers of the weapons he had. Like he had like 13 AR-15s. He had 8 or 10 AR-10s.
I mean, if you look at the crime scene photos, I mean, fuck, there's just guns and magazines everywhere in that room.
And it seems excessive, but what you have to think about it is if you're shooting per burst 80 to 100 rounds, that gun is going to overheat in 2 rounds.
That's why he was switching off to...
Yeah, you drop that gun and you're grabbing another gun. You have to. Because if you would try to shoot another round, that the barrel of the gun would warp and you'd end up blowing it up in your hands.
Do you think, Lonnie, that him being so high up actually...
It probably hurt him.
Yeah, if he would have had a room lower, you think that it would have...
Well, in regards, if he was a good marksman, he might be able to shoot higher Like, so if I was straight on with the target, you might want to lead it higher, and then it would drop in. From him being high and trying to shoot low, that might kill the momentum as well.
I think
it's hard.
His character, to speak on his character, like he probably considered that, like he was very systems based. Like he had the schematics that kind of gave him the trajectory that he needed for his spot.
Well, and everyone takes into account that an assault rifle is the best weapon to take into a mass shooting situation where you want to kill as many people as possible, but an assault rifle is probably the most inefficient. If you're up close, sure, military style, absolutely, it's a great weapon. But in a situation like that, if you're going to fire as many rounds through it, it's going to overheat. It's not a super powerful weapon.
Yeah. I've bent a few barrels myself.
So, and he had bolt action rifles as well that were 308s. And those are great, but you're firing one round every 30 seconds. If you're not good with a bolt action rifle, it's slow, it's powerful, and it's going to go a distance, but it's slow. And then he had a 38, which is probably the strongest weapon he had with him, but it's going to shoot about 30 feet.
Can you imagine if when he hit those gas tanks at the airport nearby, what would have happened if it would have actually exploded?
None of that made sense to me. Like they said that his target was the gas tanks, but he had explosives in his car. So it's like, what was that for?
Well, I don't think he was. The whole thing didn't get carried out because, like I was saying, he had a room at the Ogden for the Life is Beautiful.
Yeah, he scouted a few places.
I don't think this was the end. I think something went wrong, or as we talk about in a little bit, the conspiracy theories. I don't know.
I honestly think the gas at the airport was for a distraction. I think causing that much chaos is going to put, like, the shootings are going to make people freak out because they were in such a confined space. With the fences, they're going to try to feed out, but eventually they're going to get their rhythm and they're going to go. Yeah. With blowing up the tanks first before you start shooting, that's such a random chaos where they're going to be running around with chickens with their heads
They might even disperse closer to him to make it better.
Well, everybody, if you talk to police officers that were there and even
feds and
people attending the festival, they had no idea how many gunmen they were because they felt like it was coming from all around them. So an explosion like that would definitely send up flares over here where now the attention's over there and he's able to continue to do what he's doing.
Like, but even down at the attendees, like there was, one of the people I think I can easily dismiss, there was like some crazy chick who was walking around saying they're all going to die. I don't know if she was ever confirmed or named or placed. If anybody's ever talked to her, it seemed like a drunk chick at a concert who might have had one too many. I can't really glean too much of anything off of her, but she probably could have been one of the hookers who he had took back to his room a few times. I guess there was a few of them who were questioned, who said he was kind of one of the rougher Johns.
I did remember hearing something about that too.
And one of them was like, yeah, you're probably going to find my fingerprints on some of the casings because that's what he liked.
I don't know. I mean, one thing I was going to read earlier too, and I might read some random things in here and stuff like that, but according to his girlfriend, this is under the Wikipedia preparation section. According to his girlfriend, Paddock repeatedly cased out Las Vegas Village from different windows in their room when they stayed at the Mandalay Bay a month before the shooting. His girlfriend is another thing that kind of pisses me off because I feel like there were so many warning signs there, but yet she didn't do anything.
Right.
But at the same time, he basically wired her $100,000.
He was giving her buku and
as a keep your mouth shut type of thing.
It seemed that way, and she wasn't questioning much. Like she's back and forth with things, so it's like I can't place her. Well, and don't get the before I want to save myself here. Don't get the impression that some guy who works for the post office who is with a Filipino chick who has experience with weapons and not everybody's like that.
Well, plus you got to think your partner is always going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
So they might think it, but they're not gonna. Well, okay.
Well, they were together for how long? Was it like 2 years? Was it longer?
That's enough.
I don't know their
longer than that.
Okay. That's enough to overlook your significant other as a serial killer.
Well, she was back and forth.
Murderer.
She was back and forth over country, wasn't she? Because I mean, during this time, she was in the Philippines.
Yeah, she was in the Philippines. But if you're going to ask me, like,
you're pretty much transferring your bank account.
Is she innocent in this? I absolutely not. I think she 100% helped him with things, and I think that she might have been part of the plot later on down.
Well, she came out and saying that it was confusing. I don't know. I don't remember the statement. I just remember hearing something about it. Like, so this is hearsay. Take this with what you will. But that he was acting kind of weird in the visits at the hotel, as though he was looking at cameras and trying to see where everything was, like he was mapping things.
I mean, there's just, that's the thing about this that's the most intriguing, is like, he really had no fucking motive to do this.
Yeah.
And he has two brothers, at least, that I know of. One of which a lot of people probably remember when it first happened, like, they went to Stephen Paddock's parents' house. Well, his brother was there, and they had just found out his brother was at least nice enough to talk to the media that was there, because a lot of people they lawyer up and their lawyers tell them not to talk to anybody. He literally had nothing to hide. He went out there and just
I think if it's that one, the first one, he did have things to hide, but it was personal.
Well, yeah, but it's just the look on his brother's face and his eyes and how he spoke. Like, he was legitimately shocked at what was going on, and no idea why his brother would do something like this. And I know there were ISIS claimed Stephen Paddock.
Yeah, I can dismiss that.
Yeah, I don't think that's accurate at
There's
all.
a few things that ISIS has tried to take, I guess, blame for just to increase their notoriety. That word is so hard.
Well, he has another brother, Bruce Paddock, who just recently was on a podcast. And one thing he said, and I didn't get to hear the whole podcast because I couldn't find the link. It was just a clip to it. But he was saying, so his brother Bruce has a spinal condition that puts him in a wheelchair. He can't walk, and it's hereditary. And he thinks that his brother might have had a case of it, or a worse case of it, and just do something that was going to happen to her. Maybe it was going to paralyze him for worse than his brother or whatever. And that he didn't want to go down that route. But
wasn't he the oldest brother? Steven?
Steve was, I think, the middle.
Because he was like 64, was it?
He was 64.
It's like, I mean, even still, hereditary.
But yeah, I mean, that still doesn't, like, did this guy have some kind of secret fetish that he just wanted to harm people? Like, if I found out I had something like that and I didn't want to go through it, kind of like we had mentioned earlier, like, some people suicide, it's because they find something terminal or something that's wrong and they don't want to go through it.
Right.
I mean, if that's the case, kill yourself. Why the fuck? I mean, is having your name go down in history as the current gunman who shot the most people in U.S. history? Like, I feel like, you have a legacy that you left with your family and you just fucking shit all over that by doing this. Like,
and one of the things we're not taking into account is his religious preference. If he had any source of a Christian,
he actually didn't. He was an atheist.
Yeah, but if he did, suicide is as big of a sin as murder. So in his mind, he could have been, killing himself is he's going to hell. He might as well take a whole bunch of people with him.
There was I think it was a prostitute who was saying that if she was wearing a cross, that
irony.
Which, yeah, I know. Exactly. Yeah, but if somebody was wearing a cross or whatever, like, all that talk of would kind of shut down. It's like, supposedly he was a known atheist. Not that means anything. Atheists aren't out to kill people, actually. Yeah. I find that very stupid to, there's more Christians in the prison system than anybody. Yeah.
And the prison system and the government. Whoo-wee.
The thing is like taking it down to the attendees again. Not just that lady who was running around, but some of the people who were actually injured, who is saying that they are even targeted or so. That they were claiming for sure that there were two people. Like, they were feeling shots coming from both sides. It could easily be the spray of, so high up, because just a small little movement can spread feet, yards away from where his vantage point was. But people were saying that they saw, and I can also kind of dismiss the echoes. They're saying they're hearing shots here, and then they're hearing shots here. But, like, you're in a concert venue where it's designed for sound to ricochet. Yeah. And then they kind of, like, slowed down some video where it's like you hear a first spray burst, and then there's, like, a little pause, and then another. But, like, you're hearing the echo. So some people are saying, like, it sounds like two guns firing at the same time, but it could be, like, the echo. So it's like the only way to prove that is to
reenact.
Yeah. So it's like, man, yeah, you don't know for sure until you do it. But like, it's not safe to do it, obviously. But it's like,
Right.
So speaking of victims, I reached out to a couple people that were victims. One was actually, they're not coming in. One was actually one that got shot and survived, and the other one was just there. Neither of them got back to me. One of them didn't read the message, but I was really hoping to have them as a call-in guest for this, just so we kind of get an idea of what it was like firsthand. I mean, especially the one that was shot, to know what they go through. But, you know, I watched a lot of videos in preparation for this too, on victims that survived or the family members of those that passed away. And one of them was a girl that she was there with her sister. And what's creepy is, like, there's several of the victims where there's pictures of them
just
taking
moments
a
before.
selfie, just moments before, hours before. And it's like, God, having a good time smiling. And it's just like, you have no idea. This is probably the last picture you're going to take. And
we've said that
but
many times with
and that's what really like gets me with these things. But this girl was there with her sister. There was a picture of them selfie style. And I want to say they were there for their sister's 21st birthday. And she was telling me that when it happened, her sister was actually taking charge once the gunshots started going and people were ducking and stuff like that. And she was telling all of them that she was with, like, it's okay, let's just stay down. If we stay down, we're going to be fine. And she said seconds after she said that, her sister got shot in the head. And she saw it happen. She held on to her sister. Her sister didn't immediately die, but she knew she was dying and stuff. And it's just like, the way her sister was talking was like, it was so strong, where it's just like, you know, I don't know how you're doing it, whether you're putting on a face for the camera and the news crew, but God, if that were me and my sister, I saw her get shot in the head in front of me and was dying in my arms, there's no way I could talk about it. I'd probably still be fucking crying about it. But
Jamie, for sure. Stacy.
But I mean, it's just,
she'd probably be complaining.
There is a video too that I don't think it's up anymore, but it's literally some guy who's like, I think he was in the army, and he was at his phone video recording, but he was helping people. And it's like, I don't know if he didn't realize that his phone was still recording or what, but he was literally,
I don't think his attention was at his phone. I think he just needed it in his hand going.
But yeah, he was just trying to help as many victims as possible. And this was after, like, pretty much everybody was cleared out and the gunfire had stopped. But I mean, you see, he goes up to a lot of the victims. I mean, there's one where, you know, the guy shot in his head and he was on his last breath. Like, you could hear the gurgling and stuff, like, and it could have been post-mortem stuff where he was just, the air was leaving his body. But I saw that video and it's one that stuck with me.
I have not seen that one.
And I don't think it.
That's the thing too.
Anymore.
Like, the week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks after this has happened, like, it was flooded. YouTube, I remember seeing so much, but like going back and searching like actual events, they've scrubbed a lot of the stuff.
Let's get into that, because I feel like that leads into the conspiracy stuff.
Yeah, that's where I put a lot more stock to, because there's a lot of shifty shit that happened. We'll start off with like just the shooting that happened at, was it Oak something, a few weeks after or days after the Thousand Oaks shooting. There's a lot of people who were at this event who are also at that. I don't want to say conspiracy actor. I mean, these are actual shootings. People are actually losing their lives and stuff like that.
Right.
When people want to first bring up like the conspiracy actor, or sorry, the crisis actors.
Crisis, yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I hate when they did like with the Sandy Hook and all this. It's like fucking Alex Jones goes on. Like, the thing is Alex Jones, as crazy as he is sometimes right on point. It's like,
he
just
doesn't
have like
realize how accurate he is.
Yeah.
Is the funny thing.
The fucking gay frogs, you know, chemtrails turning the frogs gay. I was like, okay, you don't have anything with that. But I mean, he's a character. But yeah, the people who are saying like, yeah, I saw this person there, and you know, right before they press record on the news, you know, you can see like the firefighters or the actors in the back, like they're laughing and joking, and then, you know, it's like, well,
sometimes that's what people do.
Yeah, people use humor, kind of how I've prefaced earlier. We use humor to process things, and it's like, things suck. So we have to find a way to get through it. And if we can laugh at ourselves or sometimes the situation, despite how fucked up it is, it's like, it eases things. It doesn't make it right or wrong. You're the person who's kind of applying that morality to it. It's like, fuck, man, like, I'm hurting, but I want to laugh and help
So let me ask you guys this. Do you believe in crisis actors?
To an extent. I don't think everything out there is a crisis actor. I think there are certain people who want the fame, and even if it's just as an actor. But to be like a professional crisis actor, like how do you how do you submit for something like that?
I wouldn't go as far as think. I'm going to take it to a different place altogether. I don't think. Yeah, right. I don't think it's necessarily a crisis actor, but you could take it anywhere. Like maybe it's someone who is sent there to experience death and trauma again and again and again. Maybe it's a punishment for
Some
them.
people are in the wrong place at the wrong time so many times. And
Right.
It's like, fuck, man. Like bad luck. Like the people going to the Thousand Oaks shooting right after this. It's like,
Yeah, maybe it's just a punishment, or maybe it's all bullshit. And maybe that there's 4 billion people in the United States and 300,000 of them look identical.
yeah, it's another case of synchronicity.
Yeah.
It's like the timing on things. It's like, if you want to call it fate, or if you want to call it like, what do you call it? Other things. Yeah, I call it synchronicity. It's like when things just kind of like sync up, and it seems like, oh, I was just thinking of this song and it's on the radio. It's like, yeah, it's a moment of synchronicity. But fuck, man, like it sucks. Some people have the worst luck.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
And they're usually some of the sweetest people.
You know, when this first happened, to me, there were a lot of red flags where I was just like, this Stephen Paddock was set up.
It looks that way.
And then as things went on, I kind of went against that. But now as I'm doing this again, I'm like, some of the things I'm reading, and again, not everything on the internet's true, but reading some of this stuff, I'm like, fuck. And even little documentaries I've been watching on YouTube, some things don't add up. And one of the things to me that really stands out, and we won't post it because it's so graphic, but you can Google it. If you type in and Google Stephen Paddock's graphic crime scene photo, you can see him dead on the floor with the bullet hole and stuff like that in his head and blood coming out. What's interesting about that picture is a couple of things. The first thing is, okay, he shot himself standing up and he would have fell down. There's blood on the carpet. He's got on his shirt, like on his chest area, a huge puddle of blood.
Yeah.
The way he fell, there's no way that blood would be down there. And even if he shot himself standing up, there's no way that much blood would have
dripped down or whatever.
There.
Some people were saying like he shot himself in the chest, or and some people were saying he shot himself in the head. And it's like, was it a mouth shot or
it was
chin shot, whatever?
It was head.
Okay. See, I haven't seen any of that, and
that's the other reason too. It's like, because when most people do use a gun on themselves, it's usually in the mouth.
Yeah. My thing with this is it looks set up because not just that, the hard drives were gone and the computers that he had set up for the cameras everywhere. The conjoining room was locked on the other side. And then there was like, supposedly they said that there was like at least 2 or 3 people who were in that room at one point. I don't know if it was with him at this point.
Well,
and there was like the 6 minutes from when the security guard Jesus Campos, he went on Ellen to talk about this. That's the only thing he did.
Oh, he was him and that Steven Shuck or whatever.
The maintenance guy.
I watched that episode and it's like, Jesus is very distraught.
Yeah.
Which, you could
understandably.
Yeah. But, the other thing too with that picture is the shell casings next to Steven is blood. They're in a puddle of blood, but the shell casings are clean, shiny. There's no blood. And yes, Grant, I know blood wouldn't necessarily stain it, but it would still be on the casing. Like you wouldn't have shell casings.
It depends on how hot the casings were. If the casings were super hot, it would burn the blood off them.
Oh, maybe. But to me, that looked fishy to me. And I don't understand. I mean, the only way that it could have happened was how would the people, if there was people in the room with him, how the fuck would they have gotten out of there? Unless the only way would be if police were in on it or that Jesus was in on it. And
I think the FBI, and this is kind of the fucked up thing too, it's like the things that kind of happen after the fact, especially to the people who are saying that, the whole JFK thing, there was a second shooter. It's like some people were saying that they know for a fact that there was shooters in the crowd. Like they saw the people, and there was a couple who said that they saw one who their car, like a few days afterwards, after they were going on saying like, no, there were 2 shooters. There were more than just the one in the hotel. Their car seemed to veer off the road and crash right in front of their house. They had 2 daughters who survived, But that, and what was the other one? Another couple those people who said that they had photos or other things, their phones were taken in. FBI kept them for weeks, and then they were finally gave back, wiped. Like everything was cleared. It's like, well, if you normally the FBI wouldn't like wipe your own shit. I don't know if it's normally, but yeah. And then they die a few days later in a car crash that because of a malfunction in their car. There was another one. I might be joining this stuff, but yeah, there was at least 2 cases of people who were saying that there were multiple shooters who had FBI involvement that kind of fucked things up. All the scrubbing of the videos, the FBI usually come in and do their initial investigations. Then you have to contract other people to clean up. But it was the FBI who was there doing all the cleanup and standing around.
Was there any video of them going into the room, blowing up the door, and them going into the room? Okay.
There's body cam footage of it.
That eliminates the post-mortem shots anyway. Like, because that could have been a possibility. They shoot them post-mortem.
Yeah, no. So they breached the outside door, and this is all on video. They breach the outside door. They enter the room and stuff. Clear that room. The main room, you can hear him say, 1 deceased on the floor, so nobody shot at him. Then when they breached the other room, the adjoining room, an officer shot off 3 rounds. And I still don't understand what that was, if he saw something or finger slipped. I don't know, but it was just like, yeah, that was the only time any other shots were fired in that room. But where the adjoining room was and where he was, I don't think that the casings from that would have fell, but
yeah, or unless it was from the shrapnel from the explosion,
could have been. But my thing is, okay, so if the FBI is in on this, what's the point of this? Like, what were they trying to do? I guess what was going on at that time to where this would have been a necessary thing to do? I mean, you can't tell me it was for Mandalay Bay or whatever to. What were you saying earlier, Justin, about Mandalay Bay, like week prior or something to it, or?
There was people taking out stock. Let me see if I can find
did it go from a public traded company to a private held company?
Let me see if I can find it again.
I mean, you can't disregard MK Ultra or another Manchurian candidate opportunity.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised that this wasn't put on Trump. They didn't blame him for this.
My thing, I guess, with and I hate when people do this. Like, it's the old kicking the can down the road. It's like they're trying to legislate. Like, I'm not big on guns, but if it's your hobby and you're doing it responsibly, then yeah. But if you're going to, like, they're trying to ban bump stocks legislation. I mean, it's kind of more of a left-reaching talking point. It's like, oh, we got to ban this just to kind of like get their foot in the door to even take more control of like eradicating guns, or I don't want to say eradicating, but it's like, it's not doing anything though. Like, you're kicking the can down the road. It's like, clean up the trash. You know, that's my main thing. If you're trying to make a big maneuver, you still have to come up to that can again. It's like, it did nothing.
Well, I mean, to me, I know it's always people preach gun control, and I believe we've talked about this in the past, but it's just like, go ahead, Justin.
Here it is. George Soros Fund Management shorted or bet against the stock price of Mandalay Bay's MGM shortly prior to the shooting. MGM owns the Mandalay Bay shooting site. MGM Grand CEO James Murin quietly dumped a lot of his personal MGM stock prior to the shooting.
See, I just don't know why you would do something like that when you know it can be easily traced.
Yeah.
I just, seriously, like, this thing is just so, I know the case is closed, but fuck, there's just so much unanswered.
There's
stuff.
another.
It's weird. Everything about this is weird, which is why it's like 5 years later almost, and I'm intrigued by it.
Process it,
and it's just, I don't know.
There was another guy, John Bielman. Did that name come up?
I didn't know. It could have in a documentary, but I never wrote it down. Is he a Navy guy? Army guy?
Sorry, Snopesing this. He's like a 60-year-old, whatever.
Oh, no. Then
the deaths of John Bielman and his daughter were linked to the Las Vegas mass shooting via a device found in Stephen Paddock's hotel room. Supposedly there was they're saying this is false. I'm just going to give you the rundown of what happened. Supposedly there was a phone charger that was in the room of Paddock's, and yeah, I guess it was linked back to this John Bielman. So it was a phone or like a burner or something like that could not be charged. So it's like, why is there a phone charged to a phone that cannot be recharged? And recently after that, the 60-year-old man took his 27-year-old disabled daughter into his backyard, shot her, and then shot himself because it linked back to him somehow. So it's like, well, what the fuck does that mean? Like, that was random.
And the plot thickens.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? But you said that was disproved?
Yeah, it's Snopes is saying that's false. In an aftermath of deadly mass shooting,
that's what they want us to think.
A key witness in the Las Vegas shooting massacre has killed himself and his disabled daughter in a horrific murder-suicide shortly after the FBI raided his home. Oh yeah, Paddock, before they even arrived, before police went to investigate his house, it was already ransacked. So it's like, who was there if it wasn't the authorities?
Man, I don't know. I just...
The initial thing that I was following, or not following, but heard was the dude seemed like he was set up, like he was an arms runner. So he was making trips back and forth to like Mexico and all this. And it's like, is he involved in something bigger, cartelish or so? Or
I was going to say, why of all people would he be the one picked to go through with this? And
I mean, he had the makings of like nobody would have missed him. Like he didn't keep company. I mean, he had a girlfriend who was back and forth overseas. He didn't seem too attached to her because he was filling out prostitutes and all that. And
so my thought here is, okay, so did these people promise Paddock, like the FBI or whoever was behind it, if this was in fact a conspiracy theory, did they promise him so much stuff? Like, did they promise him like, okay, if there was 3 of them in the room and they're shooting or whatever, there's like, all right, so we're going to sneak you out this back door. There'll be a car waiting for you. You drive off, go to the Ogden down the street or wherever it was at the other music festival. Do what you do there. We have other people there waiting for you. Same thing. Once it's done, we'll get you out. Then you go on. Did they have like all these things? Did they tell them like, you're going to go to all these festivals, you're going to do all these shootings, we're going to give you this amount of money? And maybe that $100,000 he wired was his good faith money. Like, this is your...
Oh, like his retainer?
Yeah, this is your retainer for doing this. Once this job's completed, you'll have another $250,000 waiting for you or something. And they had him believe that he was going to be doing all these mass shootings and he'd get away with it. But realistically, they only wanted him to carry out this one. And poof, they put a bullet in his head and made it look like it was him, while the other ones went out the back door or whatever it was and got away with it.
There's something we're not taking into account. Maybe there was a particular, and it could go into the fact that there could be a second shooter that people are talking about in the crowd. Maybe there was, like, he was contracted by the government or a particular police squad or whatnot, and they had a high-profile target in the crowd they needed to take out, and it was more convenient for them to hire someone to do a mass shooting, knowing that it wouldn't be a high number of casualties because of the equipment he was using. That way they could sneak in the crowd while it was going on and take out a particular target.
That's the crazy thing, I think, too, is like the people who get the blame, or they can easily brush it under the rug and blame him. It's like, you don't know that you're the fall guy.
You never know.
Well, and if I'm being honest with you, I think Paddock was dead before the first shot even happened.
It's a possibility.
As in, like, he never pulled the trigger?
He was killed.
It's very possible, especially with...
And then whoever else carried it out.
I mean, there could be some very clean people. I mean, it's hard with forensics because if you're anywhere, then you're leaving evidence. But I mean, like rubber gloves, and like, you must have had a hazmat or working force in the system to know how to scrub things itself. But
well, I mean, when the FBI and stuff like that, SWAT team, when they went into the room, I mean, that's a ton of them. So it's just like, now you've got all these guys shit everywhere too. So it's like,
they said that 2 windows were moved, and they're fucking 800-pound windows.
Yeah, he took a hammer and shattered him out, which to me, like, nobody down below got fucked by this glass.
Yeah,
so it's like 32
stories worth of glass falling. No one noticed.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't. I really don't. And I feel like we could get really in depth into this.
I don't think there's too much.
Say something we probably shouldn't.
Yeah, we have a guy waiting at our houses when we get home.
Yeah. Well,
this hasn't even came out yet.
Just kidding. Comments are satire. Comments are satire.
I mean, it's just, and I'm not saying this to backtrack or anything, but I truly have no fucking idea what's happened with this. Like, Stephen Paddock could have easily carried this out himself.
Stephen Paddock did it himself.
I mean, there's plenty of evidence that points to that, but there's also a lot of evidence that points to he didn't act alone.
And it's just one of those cases that are going to go down in history as whodunit.
Yeah. And Stephen Paddock's the one who did it.
He took the fall for it, whether he did it or not. Stephen Paddock did it.
So that's kind of, where we're at. It was a tragic thing that happened. I hate that things like this keep happening.
Right. Well, we're so used to, and we're so programmed to be like, it was a terrible event happened. We got him. We're supposed to be happy now. Why aren't we happy?
There is no happy ending with this. It's just, with any tragic event.
It's supposed to be over. We're supposed to be content that it's over.
Right.
Is it over?
No, it's not. And I mean, that's the thing too. They can push for gun control laws, but gun control laws aren't going to do shit. It's too little, too late.
I mean, you could sound like a broken record and be like, yeah, but if you take the guns away from the good people, then the bad people will have guns. Well, taking the guns away from the good people, or you're taking them away from the bad people. Yeah, but look how easy it is for people to get guns, period.
It really is. We could go to Bass Pro Shop right now, or Cabela's, and get a
pawn shop. They don't even do checks on at pawn shops. I know plenty of good people right now who could go out and easily buy a gun and then sell it on Council Bluffs Swap.
You see, and that's the thing too. Like, I went about a year ago now, and I did for the conceal and carry, and I got my permit. I still haven't gotten it because it's just like I'm to that point where I'm not comfortable shooting a gun to have one on me. But at the same time, it's also,
you at least know which way to point it, right?
Yeah. But it's just like you could be anywhere, and some fucking psycho is going to start opening fire on people. It's like, maybe it would be great for me to have that because I might be in the right place at the right time to where his back's turned and I can take him out. I don't know. It's just, this world is scary. You can't go anywhere without, I went to my first big event last Friday. I went to Ralston Arena to MMA fights that were there. And I'd say there's probably around like 3,000 people there, but it was just like, I was sitting there at the thing, and I did something that I don't normally do. I was casing out where the nearest exit was. I was just thinking about, okay, if somebody comes through that exit firing, where's the other exit that I'm like, seriously, because it's just like,
I feel like that's something I've always done though.
My brother-in-law, he always does that too. And he's kind of the one that
when you go into a restaurant, you put your back against the door.
Yeah.
And, know where your
but it's just like, it's not a bad idea to do, but at the same time, it's like if shit started going down, I don't know that I'm really going to go through with that because I'm going to be panicking, trying to figure out, like, especially that with my sisters being there, it's like, worrying about their safety and whatnot. But yeah, I went to that event, and it's just like somebody could have easily did something there. And I mean, we're fishing a barrel.
There's two things with that. I mean, like, you can be paranoid about it, or you can not let that.
Well, the paranoia doesn't override being realistic and having fun and stuff like that, but it's there.
Right.
Yeah, you can't let it dictate your life, but you also, unfortunately, now it has to be part of your life.
Right. It sucks too, like in situations where a tragedy or something just not unfortunate happens. That's not a tragedy, mind you, but you're having fun kind of tends to blame you for like, fuck, man, I should have been alert or something like that. Or I've had accidents where like my daughter hit her eyebrow on like a cart when she was just barely walking. It's like, fuck, man, like I was right there. I could have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing. I think security needs to step up. I was a security guard at the big venue here in town for 4 or 5 years, and I was the front line of defense. And to be honest with you,
I could take you.
We didn't. Yeah, a lot of people could. People could have easily snuck weapons in there, and I can't even probably count the amount of people that had a gun or something on them that just walked past me. Yeah, we looked in women's purses, but a smart person isn't going to put it in their purse. They're
yeah, I don't know how many knives I've snuck into concerts just by them. We're going to pat you down and fucking put it in your hand and hold your hands up.
And like, yeah, they have like, so at Ralston Arena for this event, the line was outside, and you walk in and they have a metal detector. They have you take your keys and stuff out of your pockets, put it in the thing, walk through. And if it went off, they wanded you. But it's just like, with today, you could easily sneak a weapon through. That's not going to set off the metal detector. They pick and choose. And even when I did it, they said pick and choose who you want to wand down, which put a lot of pressure on me because now it's just like, okay, I'm letting 5 people go and I'm stopping you.
Yeah.
Now you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, now you get to be prejudiced.
But here's the thing.
Not you, behind you.
Yeah.
Yes.
But here's the thing. I had a chain on, and not a big chain, and they made a big fucking deal before I went. Like, you can't go in there with that. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do with a chain? I was like, I feel like you should put this effort into patting people down thoroughly if you're going to go.
He's got wallet chucks.
Yeah. I mean, this chain, even if I wrapped it around my finger, if I punched somebody with it, I'd probably be doing more damage to my knuckles.
Right.
It still hurts.
Their face.
Me and my brother went to a baseball game, and he is as farmer cowboy as you can get. And we get out of the truck and we're walking in and we get to security and they're like, all right, keys and wallets and cell phones in the bucket, and then walk through the metal detector. And I walk through and nothing goes off. I grab my stuff and he walks through and every bell and whistle's going off. And they're like, all right, we get ready to wand you. And he goes, all right. And he holds up his hands and his shirt comes off. He's got fucking pliers and a knife. And they're like, seriously? He goes, oh shit. All right. Yeah. Like, back to the truck, Luke Skywalker.
To sum up things here, or to wrap things up with this, it's like, it was a terrible thing that happened. People shouldn't have to worry about something like this happen when you're going to an event that you're excited for. And that's another thing. Like, I watched on YouTube the promo videos for this Route 91 Harvest Festival for that year, where it tells the lineup and stuff like that. And I just think, God, some of those victims watched this commercial. They were fucking hyped for this. They couldn't wait for this to get here. It got there. They're done. They're no longer with us. Their families now have to deal with stuff like that girl I was talking about that witnessed her sister. Nobody should have to fucking witness a family member or a friend or anybody for that matter get shot in the head and die in their arms. And for what?
That was the same year that the Misfits got back together and played Riot Fest in Denver. And I was at that show and there was over 200,000 people. And I can't imagine.
You got money for Misfits, but you ain't got money to pay him back?
$50.
I got money to pay him back. Yeah. I owe no debts.
But yeah, it's a sad thing. And not that anybody probably from there is listening to this, but I mean, if you are and you're affected, it sucks. Sorry you have to go through that. But I don't know. I don't know that there's really anything positive you can say to people. Don't shoot people. I mean, it's
I think that's a good start.
Yeah, I mean, that's high up there on the list to getting over it.
But it is.
That's probably one of my favorite things I like about you is you don't shoot people.
So. I don't. I've never shot anybody. I don't plan on
I've shot onto my stomach quite a few times, but that's a different story altogether.
Yuck. But fellas, I really, it was a darker episode, but I really felt that this episode flowed. It was fun. It was interesting. I think this is one of our better episodes that we've done in a while. But yeah, so this was episode 39, and so episode 40 is coming up next. And
I think I'm going to do game next week. I haven't done one of those in a while.
You haven't done one.
But I am throwing this out there. Honestly, from now on, we've done Justin's punishment, and then when you did your game, we had a prize, and then when we did mine, we had punishments. No more normal games from now on out. No, just like, haha, we had fun. From now on, if I do any games, the loser is getting something done to them. Like everything from now on is being stepped up.
But that's not fair, because like you pick your topic is always a fucking game.
It's not.
The loser has to do like
95% of the time it is.
And
I'm sorry, I am
car wash.
Joyful. Open window. I needed to get a car wash today, but I chose coming here to hang out with you guys.
Episodes like this where we actually put thought and we talk about something like a topic or whatever like this. Like I really think that this is a good example of what future episodes for this should be.
Sorry if I tried to enjoy
with a game sprinkled in here and there, not every other episode, but
I did have a game for us. We should try right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Put your name on a piece of paper. We're going to do the poopy paper thing. We're going to sit on a piece of paper and see who has the biggest streak. Come on, let's go.
I win. I'm the hairiest. You shave your asshole, I bet.
My asshole?
Yeah.
I don't put a razor there, but
yeah, we don't shave. I did, and I'll say this on air. I waxed my junk.
I'm just gonna pull this music off.
He
says wax his junk, and you pull the music.
It's been about a month now, and I've never done it by myself. But I was like, the hell with it. I'm gonna try it by myself. It's a lot cheaper, and I'm gonna see if I can do it. And I've been waxed before. Like I've had my nipples waxed. I've had my armpits waxed.
I was there for that.
Yeah, that's that's uncomfortable. But trying to wax your own junk, holy fuck buckets. That's on a different level. Like, it's impossible. I'm not fat, but I'm stretchy because I was fat. So my skin's a little loose. And having to stretch the skin and put the thing on and then rip it off all at the same time, I don't recommend it.
That's why I just go all natural.
And I am not Mother Earth.
What about my ball sack?
Oh, okay. You could probably start the music up again because I want to get away from this creepy doll that's been sitting next to me for 4 or 5 hours now.
Here we go. Every time you looked away, I wanted to touch the chair and tilt it more towards you.
I was waiting for it to, like, its eyes to move or its head to move or something, but...
I kept looking at it to see if it was looking at me. It never was. I'm kind of sad.
Yikes. Well, again, we enjoy all of you. Thank you for listening to us. As long as we still have one listener listening to us, we'll keep doing these podcasts.
It's worth it.
But coming up, our next episode in 2 weeks will be BPT movie review of Justin's movie, The Protector.
You're welcome.
The Projector.
Yeah, which has
Tony Jaa, Lateef Crowder dos Santos, which means of the saint.
Laqueef.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fighting and probably subtitles.
I'm sure the plot is super in-depth.
It is.
Well, we'll find out from
Boy and his
Justin
elephant.
whether it is. But, all right, thank you, everybody, for listening. Enjoy your day, your evening, your night, whatever it is.
Process your shit.
We'll talk at you soon.
Zazzle.com.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Join us next time for more absurdity that only the guys from the Boundless PodTrap can bring you.